Hi, everybody. This is Ken Wilson. Once upon a time, I broadcast blues hockey. I always listen to Let's Go Blues Radio. It's everything you'll want as a blues fan. Oh, baby.
Stop doing those diet or workout fads to lose weight. Use the tried and true approach from Rockin' That Ideal Life that helps you find balance while enjoying food in moderation and nourishing your body. Try the Lean 30 program at rockinthatIdeallife.com and let today be your last first day of your weight loss journey.
When buying or selling your home, you need to feel protected. Realtor Mike Burgoyne not only looks out for your interests, but as a St. Louis area police officer will make sure you feel safe and well-informed with every decision. Email Mike at strikewithmike.com and start the process today. That's Mike at strikewithmike.com.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, somehow, some way, they are celebrating 13 years as the original and longest-running St. Louis Blues podcast. Are you sure? No one even thought they'd make 13 episodes. I mean, literally all they talk about is drinking beer and hockey. It's 13 seasons already? I guess somehow it works. Ladies and gentlemen, Ponder, Price, and Day. This is Let's Go Blues Radio, Season 13, and your show starts now.
Welcome to episode number 4 of season 13. This is episode number 430. We're on 4 or 5. We're on 35. 435 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated. All the naked ladies in the bathtubs in the St. Louis area just love us to pieces. Special thanks to our sponsors, rockinthatIdeallife.com, strikewithmike.com, and centericeberry.com for once again proudly sponsoring the shoe. Please check them out. Don't forget to check out the t-shirt shop at letsgoblues.com for the very best St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts at an unbelievably fair price. It is Thursday.
Kurt, I think there's a shirt idea right there. A picture. It's like a silhouette of a woman in a bathtub holding her phone up. And it just says, Let's Go Blues Radio, even better in the tub.
I like it. I like it. We will add that or something close to it. It is Thursday, November 2nd, and we're streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on the socials, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I'm Kurt Price. I'm a co-host for the big show tonight. Are Bill Day and Jeff Ponder. The agenda for tonight includes discussion about the up and down St. Louis Blues, the offensive abilities of this team. Social media is rather pissed off. Ottawa loses the first-round draft pick. We'll talk a little bit about that and what we think about the Edmonton Calgary Heritage Classic jerseys. And also Paul Stastny retires. So we'll talk about that for a second. So all that and more on this titillating episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Jeff Ponder, apparently you, sir, still in the Halloween mood, right?
Well, we talked about it last week, that I was supposed to wear this last week, and I totally forgot until the show
How do you forget
started.
David Pumpkin?
You were like, just wear it next week. And I'm like, yeah, why not? It's still pumpkin-y season. It works.
Yep. Yeah.
You need to ask what I'm doing here.
What are you doing here?
To do this.
And it's a visual.
Yeah, for those of you on the podcast, I am wearing my David Pumpkins outfit that I bought this Halloween. This is my first time wearing it. I literally just opened it this morning.
I thought you would have went with any questions.
Any questions?
Next year, a podcast and all, you can yes. The visual does nothing for the folks listening.
I'd rather do the dance. The dance was more fun. No, I will be wearing this next year. I will have a clean-shaven face, and I will have the hair. I'll do the whole thing. So next year, tune in to Let's Go Blues Radio season 14 around Halloween. You'll see it.
So you, how was your Halloween, guys? I know, Jeff, you dressed up as a character I did not recognize because I haven't seen the show, but many have.
Bill just saw the dress up from me and my wife, Jessica. What did you think, Bill? How accurate were we?
Very accurate. Very, very well done. And you guys would have definitely placed top 10 in a costume contest.
Yes, so I ended up not winning, which annoyed me with my work one. For those that don't know, I was Laszlo Cravensworth. My wife was his wife, Nadia, from the show What We Do in the Shadows. I literally got like real fangs put in, like ones that goth kids buy, and I had to use Fix-It-Dent and like put them in, and they were, yes, and they looked amazing, but they sucked. I hated wearing them. I had them in all day. Literally. Yeah. They were not fun to wear all day, especially since I work from home, and yeah, there's a fun, quick story. So the adhesive that came with the fangs would not work. So I looked it up. All these goth kids were posting about it, and they were like, hey, go to Walgreens, get some Fix-It-Dent.
Hey, you know what? You fix it and you forget it.
That's true. So, hey, I went up there, and I'm wearing the whole getup. Like, I'm wearing this like steampunk outfit because that's what Laszlo wears on the show. And this lady behind the counter is like, "Oh, you going to a costume party?" I'm like, "No, it's for work." She's like, "Where do you work?" I'm like, "Oh, I work online. I work from home." And she's like, "You're getting dressed up while you work from home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's a costume contest. It's a thing with my job. Everybody's tuning in virtually. So you're just going to sit there dressed like that all day?" And I even said, I'm like, "Lady, I already feel weird about it. Can you just ring me out?" Like, this is already awkward. I just want to go. So, but no, I ended up taking second, and I thought it was BS because the person who won, it was a guy. Him and his wife, his pregnant wife, dressed up as Rihanna from the Super Bowl, and he was the guy in all white, like the white coat on, the white pants, the white hat, and she was wearing the whole red getup that Rihanna wore, and because she was pregnant, she ended up winning. They gave her the win. I'm like, she doesn't even work here. Like, if that guy posed by himself, you wouldn't even know what he was.
Does Jessica work at your work?
That was annoying because Bill even messaged me and said, "You need to have Jessica take a picture with you so that way you can use that." I didn't even think about it. She was already at work. Right. So, unfortunate. I lost by 1 vote, damn it. 1 vote.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. And I know you were really excited about the costume. I know, hey, second place is fine.
It's fine. I just didn't win anything.
Oh, nothing? Oh.
Yeah, first it was winner take all.
How many participants were
there? 44.
Okay. So quite a bit.
Yeah.
Amy and
I'm proud of myself for taking second.
Yeah, and you did. You guys looked really good. I mean,
you guys nailed the costumes.
I had never seen the show, and you showed the picture. I'm like, wow, you look, really good, regardless of who you are. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it was funny. My wife posted in a What We Do in the Shadows fan page, and she posted a picture of the two of us. And the first comment that came over right away was, "Your husband makes an excellent Laszlo." And I was like, you know what? That softens the blow from losing the costume contest earlier.
Amy and I went to the Cosloma Ballroom on Saturday. They had a big, huge Halloween bash. There were a lot of people there, and there were a ton. Every single person dressed up, right? So, and they had a costume contest, which I knew about the costume contest going in. I dressed up as Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and Amy was Jennifer Parker. And
McFly.
But the thing is that everybody uses the vest, right? The winter vest and the jean jacket, right? And then the white shirt with the black checkered lines on it. I didn't do that. See, I was Marty. Basically, I was Marty when he woke up. When Doc calls him, so he's just got the white shirt on with the black suspenders, and I had the white shoes and everything, the Nikes, but and the sunglasses, and I had the driver's license, and I had whatever. But so I thought we looked really good. Kind of nailed the look we were going for. Didn't really think we were gonna. I just wanted to dress up as that, But I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, so we went there and we decided we even debated not even walking, because everybody's gonna walk through in front of the judges because that 80s band was playing, and they were the judges. So everybody walks by one at a time, one group at a time, one costume group at a time, and they're announced as who they are. They walk across, everyone sees them, the band votes, and they get back in line. So we were near the end of the line, decided to walk through, and we walked across, and everybody was doing something, like a little skit or a little something to try and get people's attention. So we walked across, and I'm I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I told him, I'm going to just turn to the band, walk over like 10 feet, walk over to the band at the stage and say, I'm sorry, guys. You're just too darn loud. And then get back and then come back and walk.
I thought you were going to say you went down the line on your hoverboard.
I do have a hoverboard, Back to the Future one, but that's part 2. So
That's right.
This was part 1.
It didn't fit the character.
No. If I brought that, I'd have looked ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So we ended up, and there were like, I don't know, a couple of hundred people participating in the walk. Not everybody that went there did the walkthrough, and we made the top 20. I was shocked. I was like, oh, I am pumped. But there were a ton of good costumes too. And made the top 20, so that was cool. We had to walk through again, and we did not make the top 10. So, but I was more than happy to make the top 20. Again, didn't win anything like you, Jeff. So
we're both losers.
I think if you would have gone with the other line when Marty's, playing with Marvin Berry and the Starlighters, right? If you would have gone with,
that sound you've been looking for,
blues riff and B.
Yeah. Oh yeah, watch me for the changes. Yeah.
Well, try to keep up.
Okay.
Try to keep
that.
up.
That'd have been good. That'd have been good.
Yeah.
You should have went as Biff, but covered in manure. And you could have had Amy go as, somebody who didn't want to be with you.
I think she goes as that every day.
Yes, that's every day.
Yeah, if I was covered in manure, she would not want to be with me.
That's true. Bill, did you do anything festive for Halloween?
No, I did absolutely not anything for Halloween. We actually we were prepared for a decent amount of trick-or-treaters and got 7. So and my dog tried to eat the first one. So I guess you could say I dressed up as a handyman because the rest of the night I was installing some retractable baby gates so that we can contain them in the living room from now on. So
who are you supposed to be? He's the handyman. What's that from? What's that from?
That's
he's the handyman. It's from Friends, right? When Ross just moves in, they want him to give money to his retirement party, the maintenance man's retirement party, the handyman's retirement party.
That's right.
He wants to. I don't even know who he is. He's the handyman.
And then Phoebe did.
Yes. That's right. Yep.
By the way, R.I.P. Matthew Perry.
No, we found that out at Casa Loma when we were there. Amy saw it on her phone. I was like, oh man, that puts a downer on the evening. That just sucks.
Yeah, so we were too. We were out. We do a little cabin trip at Washington State Park with friends every year, and somebody came running in. We were watching Friday the 13th and taking shots every time somebody got stabbed or there were boobs on screen, which happens a lot. Don't worry, there were women there too, so it was okay. Don't cancel me.
Did any of the women actually put their boobs on the screen?
No, they didn't. That would have been way better. But no, somebody came running in. We're having a great time with this game. Like, it's shot, and we're having a great time. Then somebody comes in. Actually, it was my wife. She's like, I got really sad news. And we thought she was messing with us. And then she told us. And we're like, oh, that really was sad news.
Yep. Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we won't find out for a little while exactly what the cause was. He just drowned in his hot tub for now. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Or a jacuzzi.
Really puts in perspective that I have a hot tub. That could have been me.
Could have been you. You've been so close to death so many times.
So many times.
It could have been you, Jeff. You have a hot tub.
I know, man. Oh, Matthew, I feel your pain, buddy.
Oh my God, you be careful, Jeff. Look what happens. Hot tubs are dangerous.
Leisure will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
We should get the government to regulate these things.
Mm-hmm.
Or just require neck guards now for everybody that goes into a hot tub because of one person dying. That's man, I feel really bad joking about this.
Should have said flotation device. That would have been a little better. At least it would have been on topic.
I kind of covered too. Well, this is a hockey show, and we'll talk about it later. The neck guards.
Oh man, all of our viewers just went down to 0. Yeah. Damn it, Kurt.
It's like, oh man, what happened? Tick.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, wow was right. Sorry, I surprise myself sometimes.
That's all right.
Jeff, you were on the Puck podcast this week, co-hosting with Doug Stolhand. Is that correct? I see that in our notes.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yes.
Was that a last second thing because you didn't mention that last week?
Well, I was asked, and it wasn't. I didn't get an official confirmation. I said, "Yeah, I can do it if you need me." And Doug messaged me. I guess that was Monday, and was like, "Hey, definitely, if you can come on." I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So, yeah, he's out of town. I think he's in New York with his wife. I think they're going to the Giants game, maybe, and I think maybe even a Rangers game. But either way, so Doug asked me to fill in. They use the same platform we do, so it's always kind of fun seeing how other people manage this app. We do it better, of course. But yeah, so was on with Doug and had a great time and good show. Obviously, a lot to talk about this week, as stuff we'll mention briefly tonight with, unfortunately, the death, the Ottawa Senators news, injury news from across the NHL. It was about 2.5 hour show. So, and I will be back on next week as well. So if you're wanting to hear me talk about the NHL as a whole, I recommend you tune in to the Puck podcast, which you should do anyway, because they are a good around the horn show. They talk about everything. So it's always fun to listen to that every week when you want to get your hockey fix.
See, we're doing this the right way this week, because to announce before you go on that you're going to be on. See, last week I was on, well, I didn't think to announce it at the beginning of the show. Oh my gosh, I should say it at the end, because I was on with Randy Molman in the Mole in St. Louis on the radio on was it last Thursday morning? Yeah. So yeah, the morning after the show last week. I completely forgot.
When we make guest appearances, we should definitely put that at the top.
Yeah, you would think, right? That'd be something that we should mention.
Yeah, that's what a good host.
Yeah,
would do.
No, that's come on.
I mean, when Bill Day guest judges over at PTs, we make sure to always mention that. Do they even do competitions? I don't know. Guest judge? I don't know.
I don't know. One of the, let's see, where was I? I walked into, I'm thinking of Carbondale and I'm going to try and keep this socially acceptable. I walked into a club and there was a big, huge table of food. I'm not going to say what kind of food.
Okay, now I'm very confused.
and I shouldn't even tell this story because I can't say enough of it to make it make sense to people. I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah.
Now I'm afraid this is like murderous or something.
Bill knows the story, I think.
I know the story.
Yeah.
I know the story.
And I don't know why I started to tell this.
You should stop talking right now.
Yeah.
Man, Bill is all over this. Do not talk, Kurt.
It was a very Animal House moment. I'll just say that. Okay. And all right. It was humorous.
That is as much as you should say on the air.
It was
all right. Let's move on.
Anyway, back to the show. The official beers of episode number 435. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is CPrice12. Jeff's is JPonder94, and Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. I think Bill should go first because of his comment in the private chat, and because that's the way we do it.
All right. So I had a whole thing planned out, but now my mind's not there anymore. So I'll just put the beautiful artwork up on the screen.
Ooh.
I got the Voltron Volume 2.
Oh, and what is the Volume 2 again? It's another pale ale.
Another hazy IPA. Another fruity hazy IPA. This one with Southern Grist out of Nashville. So yeah, my thing was going to be, I'm a big fan of the series. This is just like the Blues, right? Big fan of the series. Had the first one, was disappointed, and not much has changed this season.
Okay,
it's good, but okay. If you're in the mood for an IPA,
right? Explain to me this. Riddle me this. So Four Hands, their first one was an IPA. Mm-hmm. Their first of this collab, right? Their Voltron series.
Yep.
The second one, there's a lot of different kinds of beers, and they're only doing 5. They're doing 5 total. The second one, Another fucking IPA. Why? I know they've got Absence of Light. They've got chocolate milk stout. They've got a few different stout. The Fat Elvis. They got a few good stouts right now that they just come. But I'm like, man, they could have done a porter. They could have done something dark for the cold season. But they did another IPA. Why? We should have somebody from Four Hands on the show and explain what their thought process is for going back to back IPAs without being too critical.
No, I totally, I'm totally hoping for by the time they get to the Black Lion that we're going to have some stout action going on. Right?
Black would make sense, right? For a stout or a darker beer, right?
Yeah.
But you would think,
so.
Which one's going to be sour? We take a bet. Green or yellow? That one's green.
Oh, this is green. Yeah.
Okay,
green
the first
and
one's
yellow.
So
yeah.
done.
Yeah. So, either, I guess it's got to be either the red or the blue.
Man, I don't know. I go red. I guess red.
Yeah.
If they do sour at all.
I'll go pink.
Pink lion.
The princess.
The pink uniform.
Right. The princess when she took over for Sven.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Bill, go like this, but right in front of your camera for a second. And bring it back down.
In front of your camera.
Like right in front of your camera. No. Let's set it there for a second. Yep.
Go.
And then bring it back. Bring it back.
There you go. It'll refocus.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Right.
Let me just do this all night.
I got you. Oh, you look great. You're beautiful. You're a beautiful man.
All right, Jeff.
All right. Mine is one of my favorites of the season. I figured since I'm David S. Pumpkins tonight, I will be drinking some O'Fallon pumpkin beer. My favorite pumpkin beer that there is. So there's a lot of good ones. Pumpkin comes to mind.
Are we giving an award for the listeners or the watchers, the viewers, who guess how many pumpkins are on your screen right now with the beer on the screen?
Oh my goodness. I would have to figure that out myself. I have no idea. There's a lot. But yeah, very good. If you find it in the stores, you haven't had it yet, grab it now because they will be off the shelves very soon.
They'll be off the shelves apparently. Yeah, quicker in Missouri than Illinois.
It's got to say, for some reason, like I already went to Dearborn's the other day, and
they'll be here until February.
I'll be going to the Illinois side then.
It was crazy. It was like a good 2 months after they were gone in St. Louis that you could still find it here.
I will say I was at a store in January I guess this year, and I did see some. I'm like, there was 1 6-pack. I'm like, what? Did somebody just hide that behind a shelf somewhere and somebody found it and set it out front? Like, I'll take it. Why not?
It could have been.
All right, Curtis.
It could have been. Found it back in the storage room or something, and just stick it out there.
Yep.
Okay.
Some idiot will come by and buy it.
Some idiot.
Some basic bitch.
Can you see what's written on this mug?
No.
Okay.
I see stars.
Yeah, it's got a beer mug and it's got stars. I don't want to tilt it too much. I'll spill it. But this is the Four Hands Chocolate Milk Stout, which is a classic here in St. Louis from, their Four Hands beer. 2 out of the 3 tonight are Four Hands. But I also have, as a pairing, some Halloween candy. So I got a Reese's, mini Reese's here, and I got a little fun size Hershey, which is not fun size. A fun size would be about 3 feet long. And I got a Witch's Brew Kit Kat, which I think is actually like marshmallow flavor, which I'm curious to try that. So,
is that from the parental 10% keep of all the candy brought back in?
No, I didn't have to do that because I had like half a bowl left over of the candy I handed out. We had quite a few kids come by, but I always buy a lot of candy because the worst thing in the world is to run out of candy, right?
Yeah.
If you got kids. Yep. So I bought it. I make sure I have enough. And I actually went through more than I thought and had half a bowl left over. So this is from that.
Yeah. Since we only had 7, I bought 2.
Take it to work?
I will be because we went to Sam's and got 2 things of full-size bars.
Oh, I was gonna do that.
So
Sam's.
Yeah, it was cheaper. I was telling Jeff before the show, it's cheaper back when we were in Coke. Yeah, we'd easily go through $200 a night with the small stuff. Some like $50 for, last year we got about 25. So we figured that's not too bad of an investment. And
you
got it all left over.
In Cahokia, you'd spend $200 on candy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me?
It wasn't me.
Okay, that is dedication. I mean,
Yeah.
and so the kids in your area that did not come to your house, they missed out on full-size candy bars. And I'm telling you what, I mean, I assume kids today are like kids when I was a kid. That word spread amongst the trick-or-treaters that night when a house was giving out full-size candy bars. You see your friends in the street, you share information. Hey, so-and-so is getting full-size candy bars. That's where you go. You get the full-size. I mean, it's like a networking thing with kids. It's very scientific and impressive how kids that word travels that quick.
Yeah, and it's this year. Like it was definitely limited to kids in our neighborhood. Like you haven't been by the new house yet, right? So you haven't even seen like how our street is, and it's very hilly. And I
know about where you live. I know it's a hilly area, but I haven't been. You
have to walk down like on my side of the street. You have to walk down to people's houses from the street, so it's like hills everywhere. And a lot of people don't want to push strollers and push wagons and stuff that people do on Halloween. So we had a very sparsely attended year this year.
Well,
didn't help that it was so cold.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually surprised at some of the kids that came by. There were some kids like in shorts for like costumes and stuff. It was balls. It was like 33 degrees, 34 degrees.
Yeah,
it was cold and it was windy. It made it worse.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so Paul Stastny, former Blue, former Avalanche, former Winnipeg. Last season, he retired from the NHL after 17 seasons. His last season was 9 goals and 22 assists. Played for 5 teams.
22 points.
22. Oh, sorry. 9 goals. And see, when you write stuff down, you did that. So I assumed it was 9 goals and 22 assists. 9 goals and 22 points.
That's why I wrote out points.
I know you wrote points, but I'm like reading fast, and I'm like, I'm not used to. Is like, now I got to do math. Oh, how many assists then? Okay, 13.
I literally stole that right from I think ESPN.
I know I know places do that, and I hate that when they do that. I hate it when they go 9 goals and then points. I mean, just give me the goals, assists, and points. Do the math for me.
Yeah,
give me the goals and the assists, because on the ESPN stats page, NHL stats, they list goals, assists, and points. They don't make you do math. They don't make you figure out one of the columns on your own. Why not list assists and points?
So Paul Stastny retired.
You touched a nerve, because this is always like bugged me. I read. I'm like, I can't believe they don't list all 3. He played for 5.
Who knew this was going to set Kurt off?
I mean, come on. How hard is it? Played for 5 teams in his NHL career. The Colorado Avalanche, St. Louis Blues, Winnipeg Jets, Vegas Golden Knights, and the Carolina Canes. And thinking back to when Stastny came to St. Louis, couldn't have been more excited about him coming here. But it was a little bit like the Paul Kariya thing, in a way where everyone's excited that Kariya came here, but he didn't really have a ton of success here. I think Stastny, I'm not looking at his numbers here, but I always felt like he didn't quite get over the hump here as far as what his expectations were. Would you agree or no? What do you think? How would you reflect on his time here?
I would say Kariya is an unfair comparison, because Kariya was truly at the end of his career, and I think people expected him to still be this 40-goal guy. But yeah, unfortunately for Stastny, and why he moved on from Colorado, was he wanted a pretty good payday, but they kind of knew, okay, he's kind of getting to the end of the prime here. The prime years are gone. Blues needed a guy that you could set in as your first-line center. Didn't really work out that way. Plus, you got to figure, and I think that this was the unfair part, he was coached by Ken Hitchcock. It really stymied his offensive creativity. And when he wasn't putting up big numbers, Hitchcock would often put him with, I'm drawing blanks on who they were, but I remember multiple times being like, stop putting Stastny with the third line guys.
Chris Porter.
Chris Porter, like names like that. And it's like, okay, this is a guy that he can feed. Him and Tarasenko never really worked out, which I think was the big hope, was that he would have amazing chemistry with Tarasenko. He just didn't. And so once that was dashed, it was, oh shit, now what do we do with Paul Stastny? But I still liked him here. I I don't think he didn't live up to the crazy hype that came with him being a St. Louis guy and him putting up big numbers in Colorado. But I think overall he was good here. I just, he wasn't the first line center the Blues were seeking at the time, but at the time he was all that was there. And I don't think he fit well in a Hitchcock system.
Spent 4 years with the Blues, tallied 56 goals, 175 points. Do the math.
How many games?
He played in 267 with the Blues. He had 538 games played with Colorado, 8 years with them. So, 8 years with Colorado, 4 with St. Louis, 3 with Winnipeg, 2 with Vegas, 1 with Carolina. He just shortened his tenure with each team as he went along.
Right.
But
yeah.
Oh, good, nice solid career though.
Yeah.
No, he did. He had a good career.
His exit from the Blues was that Doug Armstrong throwing in the towel moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing that sticks with me the most. I do remember the excitement you guys talked about of him coming here. Right? There was a lot of fanfare around it. Local boy coming home, going to be the next big thing. Didn't quite work out, and then he was serving serving a useful role. Not what we expected when he got here. At the time he was traded, but that was definitely a sign that we were tossing in the towel at the end of that season.
Yep. Yeah, 2 years later, we win the cup after he leaves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, good times.
Traded to Winnipeg. I'm trying to remember. Was that just a draft pick they got for him?
I want to say so, because it was at the deadline or before the deadline.
This is where having a producer would be very nice.
He had 1 year left on his contract. Was traded. I'm sorry, that's the Knights.
Oh, that's right. He was traded for Eric Foley, 2018 first round pick, conditional, 2020 conditional fourth.
Yeah, and Foley was concussion ridden and never made it.
That's first rounder. I'm trying to. Okay, I'll look up who became that first rounder.
Right. And wait, wasn't Foley the subject of 8 hours of tape?
Yes, that was him.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
He was not impressive because the 8 hours of tape that was watched.
Yeah.
Was that all it was, 8 hours? Because it seemed like it was a lot more than that.
Yeah. No, I was excited about him because he's another Providence guy, right? Like Jake Wallman.
Yep.
And, yeah. Nola Chari.
Paul Stastny, the two-time Jet, actually mentioned Winnipeg as a city and team that helped resurrect the later stages of his career, calling it the best thing that ever happened to him. That's from an article in the Hockey News back in, actually just yesterday. So there you go. Winnipeg rejuvenated his career. It's the best thing that ever happened to him. I'm forever grateful for that. Las Vegas was a blast. Playing with different players, having different coaches, you get to see everything. He does mention St. Louis. Just not right there. St. Louis was like the closest group of guys for some reason. All those guys in St. Louis are me and my wife's closest friends. We were all in the same chapter of our lives at that time, where everyone just got married. We got the Blues took on the Flames, beat them 3-0, and then they went on and had a bad game against Vancouver, and then the game that was just on last night against Colorado. So we can talk about all that and more on the other side of this break. You are listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
We've all tried a diet or workout fad at one time or another, but it always ends the same, right? We either lose the weight and then get back to our routine, but then put the weight right back on, or it just simply never takes hold. It's time to move into a habit-based program that focuses on organization and simplicity. Rock and That Ideal Life's Lean 30 lays it all out for you with the correct food to eat, how to meal prep, and even sprinkles in plenty of healthy recipes. With Lean 30, you'll get the full ID Life arsenal, including energy for that needed kick, a tasty Nourish shake for your needed fiber intake, Slim Plus to help control your cravings and provide a metabolic boost, Lean capsules help bust those sugar cravings, and IED Nutrition gives you the added punch you need that takes the guesswork out of what supplements to take. Join the many who are seeing success and make this your last first day on a new program. Visit rockandthatidealife.com to get started. And remember to email Dustin at rockandthatidealife@gmail.com for an extra 10% off exclusively for Let's Go Blues radio listeners. Start your transformation to the confident, vibrant person you've always wanted to be with rockandthatidealife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a beer lover's dream for hockey fans. Based in St. Louis, Missouri, owner Steve Albers has been brewing hockey-themed favorites for thirsty sports fans since 2017. From the Beauty IPA to the Old Arena Lager, a cold, frosty, hockey-themed beer is just what the doctor ordered for hockey fans in St. Louis. Make sure to check your local beer store for Center Ice Brewery beer today. LGB. Let's go beer.
St. Louis hockey fans know how it takes a reliable captain and a team of hard workers to achieve major goals. As a police officer and a hockey player, realtor Mike Burgoyne would wear the C in any situation. As a leader in the home buying or selling process, Mike has surrounded himself with a team of trustworthy inspectors, lenders, and escrow officers that work together more cohesively than Hall & Oates. And as a member of many teams in his life, Mike knows the service our first responders, veterans, nurses, teachers, and yes, even you Let's Go Blues Radio listeners provide the community, so he offers special rates to those individuals. Find the value in Mike's leadership and teamwork today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or calling 314-753-4060. He'll work closely with you and only show you the homes that match your goals. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com or call him at 314-753-4060 and succeed with your new teammate today.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
Okay, I think I've got this figured out. It's pretty convoluted. And you know what's funny is that I look back at this, and I'm like, I guarantee at the time, we and just like everyone else, the hockey fans in St. Louis, were probably all over this. But because it's like been 5 years, I don't remember any of this. So, okay. So apparently what happened was the Blues got that first round pick from Winnipeg for Paul Stastny. The Blues then turned around and traded that pick at the draft to the Toronto Maple Leafs because they wanted to trade up. So they traded the number 29 pick. They traded that up with a third round pick so they could pick at number 25. So they traded up 4 spots. Do you know who they picked as their first round pick in 2018? They clearly wanted this guy.
2018.
Hint, he never played for the Blues.
Of course not.
Carrier?
No. Another hint. He was traded for a current Blue. Another hint. This current Blue plays defense. Dominic Bach is the answer.
Yeah.
He was
Justin
then
Falk
turned
trade.
the next year, turned around for Justin Falk.
Yep.
I'm sorry, 2 years later. No, 1 year. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years later. No, 1 year, because it would have been okay. I'm so sorry. Yes, 1 year later, he was traded for Justin Falk.
Yeah,
so in a way, Paul Stastny got us the Blues' best defenseman right now.
In a way, yeah. And Edmondson. So Edmondson and Bach.
And Edmondson.
And that was it? Edmondson and Bach? Was that it? I forgot.
I think so.
Okay.
Now you're going to have me go down another rabbit hole, Kurt.
Yeah. There were certain people who were pissed off that we traded Bach away.
Yeah, and I remember Carolina saying, what a steal. This kid's going to be a stud. Never even saw NHL ice.
Yeah, and there were people who were mad. That shouldn't have traded him away.
And those people watch 8 hours of tape on every prospect.
Bill's coming out with the fire tonight. I like it.
Well,
Speaking of fire.
Hey, the Blues put out the fire.
Whoa.
In Calgary last Thursday night, 3-0 versus the Flames. Kapanen scored a shorthanded goal on a breakaway in this game. A nice puck interception by Sundqvist in their own zone. Saucer pass to a breaking Kapanen. Nice shot upper. I think it went upper glove on him. It was Eric from the Teal Town USA podcast.
Eric, don't listen. I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the show that I co-hosted the Puck podcast this week. Don't listen. I didn't say some nice things about the San Jose Sharks.
See, so yeah,
this is going to be a rough year, friend. I hope you're ready for it.
Eric chimed in and said, "So tell me what winning is like." I don't think that you should probably go on to another show's podcast and ask that question.
yeah, we're not going to get a whole lot of that here.
Yeah, we got a few wins, but that's I mean,
they haven't won a game yet.
I know, but hey, there's nothing like coming in dead last the year after Bedard comes into the league. So
yeah, right.
They tried last year.
And it doesn't matter. The Blackhawks will still get the first pick next year,
even if they cover up a sexual assault. They'll still get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, this goal was nice, and it was a nice kind of kickoff to the game. I mean, it was halfway through the first, but high hopes for this week, right? Like, well, you see this goal and the way they played in the first, I'm like, this is looking pretty good.
Yeah. Because they're coming off, up and down, right? And up and down games, but this, Hofer started this game, played well, 27, and he needed this game after his first game was a disaster. So he played very well in this game, 27 saves, the third youngest Blue to record his first career shutout, which was 23 years and 88 days. So the Blues got up 2-0, 13:24 of the first period. Leddy scores on a slap shot from the point. The broadcast crew really wanted to give this goal to Neighbors so bad.
Yeah,
and acted like
I thought it was funny that later in the second period, Leddy got a shot on goal, and whoever the announcer was, was this game nationally televised?
This was a local.
Okay, I was watching the Calgary feed. That's what it was, and the Calgary announcer was like. He's like, and Leddy really bidding for his first goal of the season. And I'm like, he scored in the first period.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wanted to give that goal to Leddy.
And they also said that when Neighbors scored, that it was his first NHL goal.
Right.
Which is like wrong.
Yeah, Kelly said no. That was Rivers. Rivers said that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
no.
I'm listening, I'm watching, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, do you guys have
did everybody do acid?
Do you not have any stats in front of you whatsoever? I'm like, that's just, whatever. But maybe a misspeak or a first goal of the season, probably. But St. Louis went up 3-0 in the third period. Late in the third period, Sundqvist shoots it from about 175 feet into the empty net. All goal scorers in this game tallied their first of the season. Blues had 35 shots on goal. They were 0 for 4 on the power play and 2 for 2 on the PK. That was a good effort by the Blues, obviously. To be fair, at the same time, I thought Calgary was terrible in this game. They looked bad.
Best win of the season for the Blues. They looked great. Yeah. But yeah, I watched the Heritage Classic, which we'll talk about later. And Calgary looked awful then too. And I'm just like, maybe I gave the Blues too much credit in that game because Calgary looks like a dumpster fire. No pun intended.
What? I mean, don't get me wrong. The Blues they played. I mean, a team is not playing well, and then the other team should take advantage and beat them. And the Blues played well. They owned the game. They deserve to win. But and you got to feel bad for a guy like Nazem Kadri. Such a good guy, right? Just on a bad team right now. Got to feel bad.
Yeah, he's really trying. He playing well.
Yeah, just a good guy.
Yeah,
hadn't scored a goal yet.
Next time I see him, I'm gonna give him a bottle of water.
Yeah, you should probably just throw it to him, toss it to him.
Was it Leddy or Scandella that checked him and he went down and the shoulder kind of grazed his chin or something? He went down holding his face and he was all pissed off.
I think it was Scandella.
Yeah. Went to the bench and slammed his stick, broke it or whatever, and he's all pissed off. And And I think they showed it on the broadcast, and they kind of chuckled and said, "Well, Kadri's none too happy."
Yeah, they said the same thing on the Flames broadcast. They were like, "Well, you can see there, Nazem's not too happy about what's going on right now." And I'm like, "Serves him right. Fuck you, Kadri. Hope you don't win another game the rest of your career."
I think I took a short, 8-second video of that and shared it on Twitter. It got hundreds of
funny.
Hundreds of likes. People love the Kadri misery. So,
oh yeah. So real quick, you mentioned Hofer, his 27 saves, third youngest Blue to record his first career shutout. First, a guy, I'll admit, man, every now and then we'll get something like this, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. I've never seen that name in my life. Yves Boulanger.
Yves Boulanger.
Yves Boulanger. Have you guys ever heard of him before? He's number one.
I have heard of him.
22 years, 162
Never
days.
seen him play.
Yeah. Clearly. Do you know what year this happened? And
I mean, the name sounds familiar. I've never.
Take a shot. What year do you think this happened?
73, 74.
Kurt?
I'll say 70, 71.
74, 75 would be the year.
Go higher.
It was on March 11th, 1975 against the Atlanta Flames, which is kind of funny. Yep. And then the second was Jake Allen at 22 years, 219 days. You want to take a shot at what year his first shutout was in?
Oh, God. Let's...
87.
I'm going to say 2014.
Okay. Bill?
I'm going to go 15. And he just made a very nice save.
2013. Also in March 14, 2013, against the Phoenix
Flames.
Coyotes. Phoenix Flames, yes.
Bring
Bring that to your next little trivia night, folks.
Price is Right rules, we would both lose, Bill.
Yes.
Yep, both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, he just made a nice save on Jordan Schmaltz.
Good.
Jordan Schmaltz.
Or Nick Schmaltz.
I was going to say Jordan.
I knew
podcast.
I knew he meant. I'm like,
right.
good.
The Arizona guy.
The Schmaltz guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Right.
The guy who kills the Blues for whatever reason.
Right.
Him and Keller.
See, we should never have traded Jake Allen. We wouldn't lose to Arizona.
That's true. There you go.
Is that when we eventually start this what if segment? We can do a show. What if we never traded Jake Allen?
I've got a good one that we need to start with. I was actually going to put it in there for today, but we got too much show. We got too much show.
We always have too much show. We dick around too much.
We do.
So yeah. Okay. So the Flames game, good, solid game, good effort. Blues fans feeling good about the way I was. I mean, I was like, oh man, the defense has been good. The defense has been playing well, and we actually scored a few goals this game. The power play still needs work, but we're getting there. And
hey, 27 shots against, that's not bad at all considering what we've seen. And like we said, that they've been cleaning up the middle a lot, not a lot of cross crease passes getting through. So, and that, like you said, the offense was pretty potent. That was the most offensive pressure we've seen from the Blues. And coming off the Winnipeg game, I thought they had good pressure in that game at points too. So I was like, okay, here we go. The offense is going to start clicking. But
I mean, the offensive pressure was good. Still only 2 5-on-5 goals, but
but they looked like they could actually contain the puck in the offensive zone for a while at many points in this game.
They've done that a lot this season in various times in various games, but they haven't. Their finishing is the problem. They can't fucking finish, and shots on goal were a problem for a long time too. They I think maybe they're finally figuring out the shots on goal thing, because we'll talk about it in a minute, but they were just firing shots on net last game.
Yep.
Justin Scott says, "Hey boys, unfortunate few performances here recently, but these Fairweather fans still piss me off."
We're going to get into that. I've got some stuff to talk about after this last game that I'm still, I mean, Kurt, you commented on Twitter about it. I'm just getting some real fucking morons reaching out to me, and it's just
I buckle up, guys, because this kind kind of season shouldn't have been surprising, right? This is kind of what we expected, more or less. Hoping for more, but this is not shouldn't be surprising.
And we got some bad games coming up to talk about here. And like I will tell you the same thing I said last week. I have still not gotten angry. Like I've gotten annoyed. Yeah. I got very annoyed in this next game, and then very annoyed at the third period in the last game. But overall, I don't think I'm going to get angry this year. Like I just don't think it's going to happen because my expectations are not high for this team.
It's like what a parent tells their kids to make them feel worse. It's like, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed in you.
Yeah, right.
No, how can you get angry when even the GM doesn't expect to get higher than third place? Right?
Yeah, right.
That's what you're shooting for.
Our levels are all set here.
Yeah,
right?
Oh my God. I mean, and granted, I mean, so much feedback that you get is on social media. Social media is the old sports open line for radio, right? So I want to say, I'm not sure what you expected for a lot of these fans when after a bad game, they go online like, oh, the season's over. Just trade everybody. I'm like, what? I don't know what the whole lashing out and the whole like just the elevated and accelerated anger after a loss. It's like, just calm down.
Don't put your every emotion on social media.
Yeah, and don't live and die with this team every single night, because this team, if you're gonna have a heart attack mid-season because you're gonna have
all these bad
ups
year.
And downs. Chances are now they could surprise some people and figure things out. Anything sports where sports are funny. But you should have expected a challenging season, and this is kind of what we got so far. So I mean, you take the good with the bad, and you try and learn from the bad. You analyze the bad, and you figure out, okay, who do we need to sit now? Who should play instead, or who needs to have the minutes cut, or which guy do we not want to resign? You just kind of put things in your back pocket for when the time comes to make moves.
Well, I'm already, and I know somebody made a comment about it already in our chat here, which is fine. But like I'm drawing a blank on it. I can't find it. But here it is from Matthew Carpenter on Facebook. Sadly, I'm already looking at the draft rankings for June. And okay, I get that you're being a little facetious. And I know you're being correct too. I know that you probably are, because I have as well. Okay, Blues might be drafting in this range. Where could we be? But the people that are on social media that like are just, why am I even watching this team? They're going to finish last. Oh, we're going to pick up this guy in the draft. And it's like, we're 8 games into the season. And calm down.
And again, if this team had cup expectations and looked like this, I could understand the outrage due to shock, right? And the unexpectedness of it all. But if you kind of expect this kind of play, then why are you acting outraged? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I understand like being passionate. Year. Passionate fans, one thing, but control yourself. Don't go off the handle on social media and say stupid. I saw so many stupid things being said. It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Again, I'll get to it later, but I've got some things that were said to me that I'm just like, you got to be kidding. We're all again. We were in October.
Are you talking about?
We're in October, and you're already saying.
Are you talking about? What I responded, then I backed you up on.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Okay, so the very next night, back-to-back games. First Calgary, then Vancouver. This was okay. So second game. This was not a good game. I don't even want to break down this game too much because it was just bad from start to finish. There's not really a need to. The defense was porous. They had 3 of their 5 goals were off the chances in alone from the defense, just not picking guys up, guys sneaking behind them, not picking guys up on the off wing and breaking in alone. It was just a miserable shit show of a game.
Okay, here's the one thing that I'm going to say that maybe you could classify myself as angry about. So going into the Calgary game, and we didn't discuss this, Craig Berube decided that Jacob Vrana was a problem. And Vrana was, I think, second in points on the team at the time. He had that, for those that might have missed the game, he had a late penalty against Winnipeg that the Jets ended up scoring on. I think it could have gone either way, but I think Berube felt that it was a bad penalty. It was the one where he was trying to basically stay on side, and he ended up tripping one of the Jets players in order to do it. It was a weird play. I get why the ref called it, but I think that also could have been something that would have been overlooked.
It's one of those arguments you can make that each player has a right to that ice. And
yes,
that's kind of where you're coming from with that. Yeah, I agree.
Agree. So he felt that Vrana, what did he say? He needs to give more. I need to see more from him. And I thought, okay, that's a weird fucking flex, Berube, that's the one guy you're going to single out when you got Kevin Hayes out there looking like he's playing in a pond hockey game, and you've got Tyler Tucker, who I'm sure we'll talk about, getting walked every shift. Like, that's the guy you're going to – okay. So he goes to 11-7. They decide to finally play Perunovich, right? He finally gets some minutes. Not a lot, but some minutes. And they end up winning. Best game of the season. They looked great. They looked healthy. They looked relaxed at the end of the game. They looked great. So, yeah, guess what? It worked. Kudos, Berube. Good call. It worked. Then you've got a back-to-back with Vancouver, who Vancouver is kind of on a heater right now. He goes with the same fucking lineup, except the goalie.
Yeah.
And 11-7 back-to-back nights you're traveling to. It's a road game. So you're going from Calgary to Vancouver, and you're going to play the same lineup. You could have put Vrana back in there, gone with 12 forwards and 6 defensemen. You could have switched out, put Tucker back in if you wanted. You could have done something to just get some fresh legs in there. He goes with the same lineup. And I even said before the game started, I'm like, he is going to regret that. They are going to be tired by the end of the third period. They were tired by the end of the first period. They didn't look like they had legs at all this game. And I'm not going to squarely put that on Berube. I think the Blues this was not their game. They got worked all night, especially that first period. But man, like, you're going 11-7 back-to-back games when you've got plenty of guys on the roster you can make that change. I did not like that call. I thought that was a terrible coaching decision and really left his goalie, Binnington, to hang out and dry because they did not look ready for this game.
Oh, no, let's be real for a minute. The real mistake was not going with Joel Hofer. He got a shutout the night before. Why is he not going back out there?
Yeah, just roll the whole lineup back out there. Why not?
You know what sucks about the sitting Vrana is that this team this season up to this point, even looking better offensively against Calgary, but still only the 2 5-on-5 goals. Vrana was, like, up to this point, maybe your most dynamic forward, and had created the most, the shot leader. He was shooting the puck. He was maybe your most impressive forward to that point, and just in terms of chances. But then he sits in because he wants to see more out of him. And then again, Jeff, that's a fantastic point, to not then put him right back in on the second night of back-to-backs when you could, go back to your traditional, 12-6, right? So that made no sense to me. It didn't make any sense to me to sit Vrana in the first place. Because, okay, so this whole, maybe I'm out on an island here, but I think the whole, this guy is he's not showing enough effort. He's got to sit. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe that works with some guys, maybe some young kids that would work with, but to just do that with players, what you can't tell me that's more effective than pulling a guy into your office while the locker room's full, like after a game, to pull him in, everybody sees him go in, like the door closes. That's, you can't talk to a guy and tell him what you want to see out of him, as opposed to just sitting him. You would think that maybe, I don't know, and maybe he has done this, Doesn't act like it, going to the press and saying he's going to see more out of him. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm never a huge fan of sitting a guy unless it's a last resort kind of a thing. Like, it's so early in the season to be sitting a guy like Vrana who's been creating chances. I think if it were 25 games into the season and he's been doing the same things for a while that's ticking off Berube, okay. All right. Well, maybe you got to sit him. But we're so early in the season. And he's visually, I thought he's been playing fine. Had the penalty that was questionable. I think it had a turnover in that game too, late.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. I think it was at least Rutherford pointed to.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how many Blues turned the fucking puck over that game? Why is it only Vrana?
The whole sitting the guy, a dynamically offensive guy when you're offensively challenged is a really. I didn't like it. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way.
Right. And you're picking on the one guy who, didn't last in Detroit because of off ice issues. So let's isolate a guy, right? Let's isolate a guy that's playing decent hockey, right? Had one, semi bad game, at least in your opinion, and you're going to sit him. That's just recipe for disaster.
There. I mean, if you're going to sit guys for having maybe a off period or whatever he had, it's like, I mean, you'd be sitting all kinds of guys. I mean, Hayes should never dress at all.
Right.
That was my point.
For every one nice pass he might make, he makes half a dozen like, oh man, he turned it over. Oh man, he's slow.
Lazy,
lackluster. Oh man, he carried the puck halfway in the zone and did nothing with it. It's like, right. I don't know. I mean, I am thoroughly so far, and we're still pretty early in the season. Hayes has been one of the most disappointing pickups the Blues have made in a while. He hasn't done anything. He had a nice outlet pass last game, I think, against Colorado. I think it was a nice pass. Maybe.
Oh, that was in the
2 games ago.
The Vancouver game.
Was it Vancouver game?
No, it was Colorado.
No,
it was Colorado.
Led to a goal.
Yeah, led to a goal.
It might have been Calgary.
Maybe it was Calgary. I
think it was Calgary.
It
was Calgary because I made a comment when I was watching the game that Hayes, if they're going to sit Vrana, they need to sit Hayes. And then 2 minutes later, he made that nice pass to Leddy, which led to the goal.
Nice pass, Hayes. Don't ever fucking do it again.
Yeah, right. No, I'm with you, man. Like, listen, I don't want to say I had high hopes for Hayes. I thought Hayes a solid third line center for this team. And then I see him this season and I'm like, oh my God, he's slower than Laterra. Like, and it's fine that he's slow, but like, at least again, and I know I said this a couple weeks ago or last week, Jori Laterra in the right situation is not a bad player. You put him on your third, fourth line. He's a guy that can still put the puck in the net and set someone up. He's just slow as molasses. And I thought, if that's what we're getting in Hayes, plus we got size, a guy who'll go into the corners, fight for the puck, that's great. That's what we need. But he's too slow. He can't even get to the corner. By the time he gets to the corner, the play's already gone the other way.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Not
don't
even
shake,
close.
Don't shake your head at me. You have access to this too.
I always forget about it.
I did too. I need to set an alarm. I used to set an alarm.
Yeah.
When I did that. So I blame Austin. It's the 10:40 alarm now. It's the 10:40, 10:45 alarm now.
Yep.
So yeah, 5-0 loss to Vancouver.
Quinn Hughes is becoming a Blues killer.
Hughes scored twice. First one off the post and in. Second one was banked off of Preko's leg as a centering pass. He kind of fluky, but
he had a kind of a breakout series in the bubble against the Blues in that tournament, and it's
Horvat
like
and Quinn were total killers in that series.
And Quinn Hughes is showing, and all the Hughes boys are having a great start to the season. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the Blues. It seems like every time he plays the Blues, he has a career game. He's playing great against us.
He has more goals than assists against the Blues, which is the only team in the NHL that he has that stat against.
Yeah.
So, and he has 4 goals in his last 2 games against the Blues.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. unfortunately.
And the frustrating thing is, teams like Vancouver, have guys like them, Buffalo too. I mean, Buffalo's got some towers as well, but small left-hand shot defensemen who thrive. And we're sitting on Torrey Krug's past his prime, but we're sitting on Scott Perunovich, and he can't even scratch this fucking lineup. And that frustrates the hell out of me. Give him a chance to play.
Tucker and Scandella.
Right.
They earned their keep apparently, and
they're big bodies. They're big bodies, and Berube is always going to want to go for the big body. And I think that probably plays into why Hayes doesn't sit and Verana does.
Speaking of Krug, the Vancouver's fourth goal, JT Miller scored shorthanded on the Blues power play. Awful pass. Absolutely awful pass by Krug coming out of our own zone on the power play, intercepted by Pettersson, who was right to him. His pass was right to him. Never saw it coming. And then the quick pass up to Miller, and then who comes in alone and scores. That was awful. That was roller hockey bullshit.
Sorry, so as we're talking about Vancouver, the game I was watching, Edmonton Dallas, just ended. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll flip it over. Vancouver and San Jose are playing. 17:30 left in the second. Vancouver up 5-0. Good God, San Jose. Can they just forfeit the rest of the year?
Wait,
holy
Vancouver
cow.
is beating San Jose 5-0?
Yes, and it's barely in the second period.
Oh God.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
yes, our awful pass.
Our 5-0 loss was much better because we spread out those 5 goals over the entire game.
That's right. Oh man, that's bad.
They didn't get their fifth until 6:35 to go in the third.
Yeah. Take that, San Jose.
Yeah.
We lose 5-0 better than you do.
5 shots against, 5 goals against on 35 shots against, and I mean, I'm not going to go overanalyze these goals against on Bennington, but I don't recall off the top of my head anything that he was necessarily to blame on aside from not coming up with a huge save right on a breakaway.
Right.
Yeah, the one goal was 5-hole. Those always make a goalie look bad, even though it might not have been his fault. I don't know. If we had just to even be in this game, Bennington may have had to have the game of his life.
Yes.
So
no, because the Blues they had was the first period shots 19-3 Vancouver, 19-3 after one period, and I believe 2 of those were just guys carrying it in and shooting from the blue line as they went for a change. Like, I mean, that was I think I even said I think it was the end of the first period. I tweeted out, "Stay tuned. This may be the Blues' worst game ever." They looked so bad.
You gonna pull out your Harry Doyle? One shot. That's all we had. One fucking shot.
We had one goddamn shot.
One goddamn shot.
Can't say goddamn on the air.
Who cares? No one's listening.
Who cares? No one's listening. Yeah. No, that was awful. I mean, it was literally like I don't think the Blues had offensive pressure until halfway through the second period. Like any offensive pressure. They had one. I remember one shot coming from the top of the circle. So I think it was Krug in the first period that was like, okay, that's their best chance so far. Not a good chance, but at least they got a chance. It wasn't just a dump in on net. And then the rest of the period was all Vancouver. I mean, there was nothing from St. Louis to think they even are mentally there. Like, they just looked awful in that game.
And this is you hope that this team's performance in this game doesn't define who they are for the season. I don't like doing that. I don't like taking one game and saying, this is who they are. That's weird to me because why not do that with a great game? But it's one game. But with that said, the defense in this game looked every bit as bad as the Mike Kitchen days. Looked worse than last year, to be honest.
Yes,
the defense in this game was just, I don't know what happened, but they were just off, and Vancouver was on. Hopefully it's just one of those games that happen, right? It happens to every team once in a while. You just don't have it at all, and you get wiped. So
it's just unfortunate to see because we basically, I mean, not in the same breath, but the Arizona game, like that was just a couple games before this, and it was okay. That was a pretty goddamn piss poor performance. Like,
but they've had good games in between
that for a while. Right. They have,
which is really strange.
This is 7 games in, and we've already had 2 absolute stinkers. Yeah. That's the problem I have with it.
We had a good game against Dallas, had a good game against Calgary.
Right. If you will, the rhythm was good game, bad game, good game, bad game. But you knew going into the Colorado game that it probably was going to be the first real 2 bad games in a row. And that's what we got. If you guys want to take a segue into the next part.
Let's do it. Segue. Next part. After traveling home for a few days, the Blues went back to Colorado to finish the road stand.
Road trip.
Yeah, I know.
Road stand.
You a road stand.
I have road trip.
I copied and pasted it, and you see a road. Really? You have road trip?
That's the first road stand in history.
Why the hell says road trip?
How did you change it?
You tell me.
You had
no, I did not.
All right, my copy says road stand. I like road stand. I kind of like that actually.
Are they selling fruit, like corn, something by the side of the road?
I kind of like a road stand, like a home stand. Why don't they call it a road stand?
Because you're not standing, you're moving.
Well, yeah, okay. Blues lost this game 4-1 and have now lost 3 of 4. Bennington was back in net for the Blues. Ivan Prosvetov who was claimed off waivers from the Arizona Coyotes on October 9th, made 27 saves in his first start with Colorado. This was his 12th career NHL start. Colorado had been shut out in their previous 2 games, both 4-0 losses, one to Pittsburgh, one to Buffalo, both on the road. The Avs had set an NHL record by winning 15 straight games on the road before losing in Pittsburgh and Buffalo, of all teams. Buffalo is only a 500 team right now, and Pittsburgh is dead last in the Metro Division. Question for you guys before we get into this game. Should winning streaks carry over from season to season? Because, just for, a counter, players' point streaks don't carry over from season to season.
So I will answer that by saying no, it should not carry over because players' point streaks don't. I think players' point streaks should.
Me too.
Alex Ovechkin has actually scored 50 goals in 50 games. If you go back a couple seasons, he did it between 2 seasons, but they don't count that. They don't count that. So I feel like if they did, then I'm totally cool because it does seem like they do that. Oh yeah. The last 20 games, they've gone 19-0-1, but it's spread across 2 seasons. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, you don't do that with the players' individual stats. Why do you do that with the teams?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm glad you agree.
No,
I think it should, but since they don't do it with the players individually, they shouldn't do it with the teams.
I agree with you, but I don't have like strong convictions of it. It's like I was like, yeah, I'd side with that. I'd side with you.
Good,
but I wouldn't back you up in a fight.
Oh well, I can handle my own. Don't worry.
I would cast a private ballot, a secret ballot, in your favor. All right. So, and I don't. Okay, I thought the first 2 periods of this game, the Blues played pretty well.
Yes.
Especially compared to how they played at times this season, most notably last game against Vancouver. Yes, they had some hiccups, a couple of bad ones, right, defensively. But they looked mostly good against a very good Avs team in their building through 2 periods. They skated with Colorado. They were right with them in shots on net. They had zone time. It was a fairly even game through 2 periods, down by 1, trailing 2-1 going into the third. The difference being Colorado converting on a couple of chances where St. Louis hadn't. Colorado had the edge, I'd say, in the first 2 periods, but it wasn't by a lot. It was fairly close, I thought, as far as the play goes. But yeah, in the third period was a different story. Colorado outplayed the Blues in the third, and the Blues didn't really mount too much of an attack. Offensively, the same vibe as most of the other games this season the Blues have played. They just can't generate enough quality chances compared to the opponent. And when they do, they can't convert enough of them. Their offensive shortcomings are glaring, and it's taking away from the other things they're doing fairly well on the ice that people aren't noticing because we're simply not scoring any goals and we're looking so bad offensively. So the thought is just trash on everyone. If the Blues, what was the Blues score last night? Oh, they lost 4-1. Oh God, they are, and the whole team sucks. It's like, well, okay. I mean, if you didn't watch the game, and you should watch the game. But if you, so because offensively they're terrible. It's like a flip flop a little bit from last season. Offensively they weren't great last season either, but the defense was horrible last season. But now it's the offense that's horrible, and the defense is actually respectable on most nights.
Right.
So
I agree that the goal that Tyler Tucker was beat for was but I mean, outside of that, Justin Scott said it here. Colorado was getting worked for the first 7 minutes in the first. Then Tucker get beat, and they get a high stick goal, which we'll talk about that too. But yeah, I thought, I was like, the Blues look good in this game, and I even said that after the second period. I was like, I like their game through 2 periods. Yeah, they went down 2-0, but I thought they looked good. They got some chances, and again, in a season like this, I'm not expecting them to win that game. Like, I'm not like, 2 years ago, I would have been like, you got to fucking capitalize. You got to win. This game, I'm looking at it like, if they can get to overtime or if they can even just look good in a 2-1 loss, I'm walking out of that game with a smile on my face. But yeah, like you said, man, they had chances. They just could not convert. They even had chances where they had good offensive zone pressure, but they just could not convert when they had those chances. And the difference between a good team and a mediocre or bad team, the good teams are going to convert on those chances. And that's exactly what Colorado did.
And I'm going to stress it again, is that when you're not scoring, the general consensus from a lot of fans is that the whole team is terrible. And, with that's not really fair to the other aspects of this team. What are you doing?
I'm screwing everything up here.
I changed it. Leave it.
There we go.
There you go. I fixed it once.
Sorry.
But so I think the offense, if you're terrible, the same thing last season. Although if you're terrible defensively, your offense can hide that and mask that, right? Because if you win games 5-4, or 5-3, and you're scoring a ton of goals, then your defensive problems are kind of hidden. But right now you can't do that. You're losing games 3-4-1, and your defense is playing okay, decent enough, but on most shifts. But if you're not scoring, you're going to lose. So I mean, it's and so I think that kind of makes the whole team look worse. And 5-on-5 in this game, Colorado had 14 high danger chances, 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 6 in the third. St. Louis had 6 high danger chances, 2 in each period. Colorado had 28 5-on-5 scoring chances overall to St. Louis's 18. I think the one thing offensively at 5-on-5 in this game was that they were noticeably better was getting the puck to the net. Right, they were shooting from more angles from farther out, getting more pucks on net because they were just getting outshot almost every game of the season.
Well,
so it was good. It was good to see them get pucks on net. Put more towards the net.
I think this was something that maybe was a bit of a scouting report on this young goalie. Was let's get some pucks on net. He's going to give up some rebounds. Let's get some guys crashing, and let's create some chances that way. That's something we haven't done this season a whole lot. So let's do it. And that's what they were doing. And I did, again, that's why I liked their game. I thought they came out looking very good in this game. I thought, again, if they come out down 2-1 through the second period, I'm like, that's great. Go into the third, you could still win this thing. So it was an exciting game for me. And I love the way they looked. And we'll talk about it. But the third period was just a fucking collapse.
When Thomas scored. Yeah, you got a big fist bump and a yell out of me when Thomas scored.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Because it was like you had to score the next goal. You couldn't go down 3-0, right?
Yep.
So the next goal, I mean, you're out of the game completely if it's 3-0, or you're right back in it with the next goal. So the next goal is huge. And Thomas gets it late in the second. So you should have, ideally, or you think, momentum going into the third, right? The old traditional, hey, we score late in the period, momentum going into the third. But, Colorado, scored us early in the third, and that was almost it. So
Justin Scott has a couple comments to kind of back up what you said earlier about everybody just kind of getting lumped in for being terrible. He says Thomas, Bucci, and Kapanen were a very consistent line all night. And then he said Thomas and his line were arguably the best players on the ice, and they get lumped into being terrible. I'm with you. Thomas was the one that scored the goal, but I said this, and I believe it. If you remember what I said to start the year, I thought of the 3 reclamation projects, Kapanen was the one that I was kind of low on, and I'm like, if you're gonna make a playoff race, you need to get somebody better in your top 6 than Kapanen. I think Kapanen's been their best forward all year. He's been great.
He's been good, yeah.
Yeah, he's been dynamic. He's got speed and actually handles the puck when he gets it, unlike Jordan Kyrou, who's got speed but zero puck handling ability.
Berube said after the game, we made 2 bad puck decisions in the third period. It cost us the game. That's basically what it boils down to. I didn't like this because it totally ignores Tucker's horrible play on defense for that first goal against.
Wasn't just that goal. He got burned the same way again.
Later on, yeah.
When he's getting burned to the outside like that, that is a bad sign. You can't get burned to the outside. Good Lord.
Right. And, the first goal, maybe you guys talked about it, but he was covering for Krug. He was the right-handed defenseman on that play, or the right-sided defenseman, and he came across to cover, and he just got smoked.
He took a bad angle.
He got walked.
He took a bad angle.
Terrible angle.
Tried to stick check.
Tried to skate with him, and I'm like, just rub him out. Don't try and skate with him. And all of a sudden, who was it? I forget. It was just sweeps the puck forward, and boom, he's by him.
Russ Colton.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm like, yeah, you missed your chance. You didn't take the right angle, and you could have rubbed him out, and you didn't, and he was by you.
Yeah.
Yep. So and Paul Bissonnette roasted him for that.
He should have.
Yeah.
Should have.
In the intermission, and he was 100% right. He said, basically, like, he feels like he could be playing D for the Blues right now, the way they look, and he specifically called out that play. And
it's a dumb comment, but I get what he's saying. Yeah.
No, I'm with him, because I think I said the exact same thing to my wife. I'm like,
shit,
I could have done that.
He could not have played defense. He could barely play when he was in NHL.
But yeah, I did not. I mean, again, you're getting beat to the outside like that, and again, it happened in the third period. Somebody came in on the right side for him, and they beat him to the outside. They just did the arm up sweep with one stick, went right by him, just cruised right by him. And I'm like, when you're getting beat that bad, I mean, I can't remember. And actually, I was trying to think of this earlier. The last time I remember a defenseman on the Blues just flat out getting walked consistently, because it happened against Arizona too on that one goal. And it's happened a couple other times that Binnington's had to come up big on. This is going to sound crazy. Eric Weinrich at the end of his career here in St. Louis. Yeah. Eric Weinrich, when he came here, he was great. Don't get me wrong. I loved him. But man, at the end of his tenure, he did not have the legs to play in the NHL. And I remember him just consistently getting walked and being like, oh my God, why is this guy still playing? And Tucker's a young kid. They got to do something with him, because right now, I'm sorry, he does not belong playing in the NHL. They have got to get him some conditioning down in the AHL and get him to learn how to skate with some of these quick NHL players, because he just does not have the speed, and he's too clunky of a skater. He just doesn't look comfortable in his skates.
I hate to be an I told you so to everyone, but before that, when it was posted that and announced that Tucker was making the opening night roster, and Perunovich and Rosen was being sent down, and Perunovich was not being dressed, I was like, what is the infatuation with Tucker? Aside from his size, I don't get it. I've never seen anything in him that, aside from him being big, I've never seen anything that warrants him starting over a couple other guys on that third pairing.
He was our leading goal scorer for 5 periods to begin the season, Kurt.
That's true. No, and I'll say, man, I made a comment that you got to put anybody else in there right now. And I even said, Bortuzzo and Perunovic are just sitting in the press box right now. And I had somebody say, Bortuzzo, come on. And I'm like, when was the last time you remember Bortuzzo actually getting walked? Like, listen, you can say what you want about Robert Bortuzzo. He doesn't get walked because he still plays good positional hockey. He just doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with the offense, and he's a little slow getting back too, but he's not getting flat out walked like Tucker is. Tucker, when you're getting walked like that, you don't belong in the NHL. You shouldn't be playing.
And they need to come to their senses soon, right? It's a whole hell of a lot smaller of a sample size, but I've got these very bad, give them as many chances as possible vibe like Jake Allen had over the course of his career here.
But
he had a good rookie season, but he's getting exploited in his second year. Tell him he's got to learn, send him down.
Do you know who had a great season last season? Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
Rosen had a great season last season. He's nowhere to be found.
No.
Back in the A, right? It's like, what? I don't understand.
I've said on this show before, like, the story behind Tyler Tucker is amazing. The fact he's a 7th round pick and he was not supposed to ever play on the NHL, and good for him for making it this far. And I hope he goes. And again, I think this is just a situation where you just got to send him down and teach him better positional hockey and get him to learn the speed of the AHL a little better. Because the AHL is a pretty damn quick league too.
Well,
get him some time down there, bring him back up later and see how he does.
Yeah, but you can't coach speed. You can coach how to play against speed, but you can't make him faster.
I know. What I'm saying is Robert Bortuzzo is not a fast skater. He's not getting walked to the outside constantly.
Gretzky mentioned that he thought Binnington should have had the shot that came after Tucker was walked because it was fluttering. He said it wasn't a fast shot; it was fluttering. So, your thoughts on Wayne Gretzky's analysis of that goal that Binnington probably should have had it?
I really can't argue with Wayne Gretzky, but I will. But Bill, you're the goalie guy. Go ahead. Is this something that Binnington should have had?
I think I think somebody called it out. I don't know if it was Gretz or Anson Carter, but somebody called it out that, Binnington probably slid a little too far off to the left, thinking that his defenseman was going to cut him and gave up the angle a little bit much. But, fluttering shot is a lucky shot, right? I just watching the Arizona and Montreal game right now, and Logan Krause scores with like 15 seconds left in the period on a fanned one-timer that fluttered over Jake Allen's blocker, right? It's kind of fluky. All of that blame for that first goal is Tyler Tucker and Torrey Krug for pinching at the wrong time and getting chipped. It's that goal is on the D to me.
So I think fluttering shot or not, obviously didn't catch the way he wanted to. But quick shot where he's reaching, it might flutter, whatever. But it was so well placed, right? Whether it's on purpose or not,
right.
Just over the pad, hit the post and in. It's like that's a perfect shot. I mean, he's coming in at an angle too. I'd love to see the camera angle from behind the shooter to see exactly how Binnington was on his angle. He may have been off his angle a hair. I mean, that's quite possible. But
and also the flutter, a slower shot, a slower fluttering shot,
sure, will screw
gives
you
you
up,
more time to come off your angle, right?
True. Well, and that sometimes those partially fanned on shots are the hardest ones, like that chance that Keller had in alone on Hofer. Where Hofer comes in, he picks his lifts his pad off the ice thinking that Keller's going to roof it, and he whiffed on it, and it slides under his pad and in the net. And it's like, I mean, sometimes those whiff shots are, or those knucklers that don't do what the shooter necessarily wants them to do, those are the toughest ones to stop because they're not doing what you would expect.
I
thought it was a harsh criticism on Bennington.
I agree. Again, I don't want to argue with the greatest player of all time, but I do think with the way that where the shot went, holy cow, that is again off the post and in from that angle. You're not placing that any better.
It's tough.
And I think that Bennington played that. Again, maybe he was off his angle a little bit, but he played it to where he was trying to take down the angle. And again, that's a great shot to just tuck it in right there next to the post.
If you're forcing a player to put the puck off the post and in, your angle can't be that bad. So, I mean, all right. So, I don't know. And a play I didn't like in this game, and maybe it's because we like to pick on Scandella. Second goal, right? First period. Scandella was, and I didn't see anybody really talk about this. And I watched the replay, and Scandella was deked on this. He was faked out on this play. So on the PK, 5 minutes after the first goal, Scandella thought Rantanen on the far side was going to pass from the top of the circle to McKinnon at the point. So Scandella, who is in the shooting lane when Rantanen has the puck, he leaves the shooting lane just and shades over to cover McKinnon, and then Rantanen just bolts up the middle right where Scandella was covering, and then Scandella can't get back to stick check before the shot gets off, and then it goes through a two-player screen and past Bennington upper glove. And also on that play, I think Korak was saying two players were in front of the net, no one there to clear them away. Well, Parayko was there. He was on both those players. But as soon as the shot was being let go, he backs off those two players, I assume, to let Bennington try and see the shot better. Yeah. But there was still two players there. Yep. So I thought that was kind of a bad sequence. I thought Scandella was faked out, guessed wrong, and then he let Rantanen walk in, and then Parayko,
Kurt, you
try to clear the crease, just left the two players in front.
You made me a happy man tonight, because that was the same thing I did. I thought, I'm just picking on Scandella here. Like I need to relax. Like I was getting ready to tweet something out. Like, Jesus Christ, why is Scandella still on the ice? But I was like, you know what? That was probably more Parayko letting those two guys stand there. But hearing you say that, I'm like, God damn it, that's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what he was doing. I mean,
he did. He gave him the shooting lane.
Yeah,
like
he gave it up.
Yeah, and I don't remember who it was. There was already somebody that was kind of in the slot close to McKinnon, one of the forwards, and I'm like, you gotta trust that your forward's gonna lift a stick if a pass gets through there. So you got to take the shooting lane, because Rantanen can tuck it anywhere on that net. You got to take that shooting lane and don't let him have it. And then, like you said, perfect storm of shit with Colton Parayko.
Backed off. Yeah. Which I get. I get if there's no one else there. Let your goalie see the shot. Perfectly fine from that distance. But there were two players there. So if anything, stay there, try and push him out of the way, and create a third body to try and block a puck or something. I don't know.
A puck has a lot less opportunity to get through three people than two.
Right. Or you can just stay there and try and block it. Right.
And that's exactly what he should have done. I thought, Parayko's had a very strong year.
I've loved him this season.
Season.
Fantastic. Yep.
He was awful in the third period in this game.
Yes.
The first and third periods of this game, I thought. Scandella hung him out to dry with the bad coverage there. But anytime you have a double I formation in front of your goalie, you done something wrong, right? And that absolutely infuriated me seeing that. And later on we'll talk about it. But Parayko coverage on the Bowen Byram goal.
Let's go ahead and talk about it.
It was like it was a computer glitch, and he stuck to the boards and let McKinnon peel off of him. There's a turnover, and McKinnon's got an easy pass across the slot.
Yeah,
and
he was real late coming off the boards. Real late.
What are you doing?
I know.
That was a controller broke moment.
Right. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was bad. And I mean, to add on to that, Schen's fucking turnover.
Oh, that was terrible.
What are you doing, man? You're throwing it right back into the mix. What are you doing?
I watched this a number of times. The camera changes camera angles right in the middle of that turnover, and I couldn't really tell if he went to pass and he got stick checked at the same time, or if it was a wild pass back that was intercepted. I couldn't tell how much Colorado affected that pass.
I don't think
either
Colorado.
way, it looked bad.
I don't think Colorado affected it at all. I think what he was trying to do was he was trying to lift it over their heads into the neutral zone, and he just put it on the ground. He missed it, misplayed it, and it's like, dude, that late in a game, there was nobody behind the net. Throw it around behind, don't go right back where everybody was converging, and he gave that right to McKinnon, and I'm like. And man, this was the play where I started thinking, oh my God, is this the end of Braden Schenn?
Yeah.
Because man, he's been bad this year.
He's been rough. And to be honest, he was looking rough last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe he's hurt too. Maybe he's nursing an injury like Preko was.
Sure.
Like Preko maybe was for a year and a half.
Fuck off. I don't care. Don't play him.
Robert Thomas scored the Blues' only goal late in the second period off the rush, which is how it seems like a lot of our goals were scored. Oh, a beautiful goal. Received a cross-ice pass, cuts to the middle, wrist one, upper glove. Nice shot. It's 2-1 game going into third. And like I said earlier, you got to feel good about it because the Blues were skating with Colorado. They were right there. And it's 2-1 game on the road. Yeah, but
last game of a road trip too.
Last game of a road trip, yeah. And then they third period was not good.
That goal was beautiful. It gave you hope, and you thought, okay, I said this earlier, but going into the third period especially with the power play, they had a minute 6 left on their power play or something, and it was like, okay, here we go. They got a big goal there at the end. Good chance they don't score early on, but hey, if they get some pressure, they get some momentum, they go. But then that shit third goal came for Colorado, and it was just dash the hopes.
That third goal, a minute 41 into the third, Krug and Schenn were both puck watching while in the slot as the puck is passed out from behind the end red line back of the goal to Rantanen, who moved in from the faceoff dot. Both Krug and Schenn slid over to cover Rantanen as he came in, leaving Lehkonen all alone by himself in front of the net, who receives a pass from Rantanen and puts it by Binnington. Makes a little move, puts it by Binnington on the just inside the near post from in tight. Total blown coverage in front of the goal. I don't know. A miscommunication. Obviously, Schen's back there, so he's not a defenseman. But you can't you can't have two guys in front to leave a guy coming towards the net and leaving one guy all alone. I mean, he's going to get the puck. So
well, and I'll say the one good news for me here is that Lehkonen's on my fantasy team, so I did appreciate that. But no, I was very upset with this goal. Probably as close as I'll get to being angry with this team.
Yeah, me too. Because you had the momentum, right?
Yeah, you had the momentum. They played fine before this, and then you just have this abortion of a play, and was just, what are you fucking doing? Okay, so and these, I'll say this about the Blues right now. The teams are going to get chances. It's professional NHL teams. You cannot play a perfect game and not give a team any chances. Every team makes mistakes. Every team is going to miss an assignment here or there. People are going to spring open. They're good players, right? And they're going to get really good chances, and they're going to players these and hopefully that
is that in the NHL, because makes a mistake during a game, it's the team who takes advantage more often of the other team's mistakes who wins the games. You got to have the talent, you got to have the skill to actually bury your chances when the other team makes a mistake. Typically, if a team's playing really good hockey and they're not making mistakes at that moment in the game, typically goals aren't scored unless you make a fantastic, amazing play, right? So it's usually somebody's not quite on their assignment, didn't quite make the best play they could have, and the other team jumps on it. So, and I think I was hoping that this game was going to be that case where, you had the play with Tucker where he got walked, and you have the play with Scandell, the second goal, and Parayko, the series of unfortunate events leading to a goal, and we're trailing 2-1 going into third. Okay, 2 mistakes in the game, 2 bad ones they scored on, and then hopefully we can take advantage of some mistakes by Colorado in the third and tie it and maybe get the win or go to overtime, get the win, whatever. But that didn't happen. So I just want to reiterate that, we're really ripping on them during this game when I thought they played a good game for 2 out of 3 periods. Most
they did.
Right?
And
right.
We do see that with teams. Any team, good teams have bad periods. That was the case here. This wasn't a Vancouver or Arizona game where it was just a bad 60 minutes. This was a bad third period that led to a loss. And unfortunately, they already given up 2 goals. So it was just, it looks worse than what it was. But yeah, the third period, good God, they did not look like a confident team after that power play ended. And then again, with the Lehkonen goal coming in so quickly after that power play ended, I think that was just the death nail for the Blues. Just not a good third period. Hopefully we'll see them bounce back better Friday night. But that was, I see why people were upset. But at the end of the day, again, I look at this as a bad period from a mediocre hockey team.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I say I agree. And I think it does get lost a little bit that they did have a good 2 periods, a pretty good 2 periods. And you can have a good period and still make mistakes too. That's because that's what happened.
So Justin Scott says we forgot to cover the shitty stick.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Was that a goal or not?
In real time, I thought it was a high stick, but going back and watching like Johansson actually does a really good job of waiting and letting the puck fall low enough that, even though his shoulders are slumped, that it doesn't touch his stick until it's too close to call.
Until they showed that on ice camera from the other end, right? The one that showed like the level at the crossbar, that last view. Yeah. Until they showed that one, I thought that looks high. But then they showed that one that was down at below the crossbar level or just at the crossbar level. I was like, oh man, that looks right at it. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they can overturn that. So
tie goes to the runner. Whatever the call on the ice was is what they're going to go with if they really feel like it's inconclusive or a tie.
Right. And I was thinking, if the Blues get away with this and they get this call, right, we're going to be talking again about how great our video replay team is. But you know what? What they've been used for so far is to counteract bad goals.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you know what? No harm, no foul, because Colorado did not score on the power play after this.
Right.
So,
But I'll say that this is where, again, and we've talked about this countless times, this is where I have a problem with this rule. Because there was a lot of people saying, oh, that's a dumb challenge. I think it's a completely warranted challenge.
Sure.
You only have a short amount of time to determine, okay, should we challenge this or not? I think in the moment, that goal puts us down even more. Let's challenge. It's fucking close. So, but that's where my problem is with this rule is I don't think it was an egregious, okay, they just wanted a timeout, which is what a lot of times coaches use that for, which is why they put this penalty in place. This is ticky-tack. It could go either way. We just want to make sure you got the call right. to me, and I know that this opens up a whole barn of shit, but to me, it's ridiculous you get penalized for wanting to make sure that call gets right. Like, the fact that the Blues had to kill off a penalty after this is bullshit to me. Just totally stupid rule in the NHL.
Yeah.
If you were just wanting to make sure that's the right call, come on, you shouldn't be penalized for that.
It's right. In theory, you get it. You're trying to disincentivize slowing down the game, and that's not what was happening, right? It's a totally legit thing to call that one, right? It was, I don't know, to the naked eye, it was, I thought, better than 50-50, and it only took, like Kurt said, that one replay, right, to actually see, no,
that's
what
what did it for me.
That was good, right?
I think I don't have a problem. Actually, okay, so I don't think I have a problem with the penalty after a failed challenge, only because of the alternatives that would probably be used instead. So if they didn't do that, they would probably go with a system that you had so many challenges in the game, right? Or you had like you had one challenge in a game, and if you were successful, you got one more. And if you weren't successful, that's all you get. Something like that. So that I don't like that either, because if you challenge once and lose, and then the refs fuck up a goal later, and then you can't challenge it. And that doesn't seem right to me either. Because then you're not getting the play right later. So I like having, the being able to challenge
type of
being able to challenge whenever you want, and then be penalized if you're wrong. It does, like Bill said, de-incentivize willy-nilly challenges, right? To challenge everything, because you don't want to do that. And you do want to be sure when you do challenge, otherwise you get the penalty. So I don't mind it. I don't mind. Just because of unless there's a better solution.
I proposed something in the moment. Like, I hadn't thought about this at all before I tweeted this, because somebody said, what's the alternative to a penalty? Something I came up with. Maybe there's like a waiting period or something. But my thought was, how about instead of a penalty for a wasted challenge, the face-off after the goal is in the defensive zone for the challenging team, and it's in their zone. And then they're only allowed to start with 4 players. And then they can send out a 5th player as the puck is dropped. Because I feel like that still gives an advantage to the offensive team. And maybe it's like you have to wait 10 seconds to send your 5th player out or something like that. I feel like that
hockey is already complicated for enough people as it is.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with something else, because I agree there should be, because it was getting ridiculous before they instilled the penalty, because it was like, we want a timeout, let's just challenge that play. Goalie interference. That was getting ridiculous too. So this penalty was kind of created to like kind of protect the coaches from themselves. But yeah, for me, it's like, I hate that. That was such a ticky-tack call. To me, there shouldn't have been a penalty on the play.
It doesn't seem right in this kind of a review to get a penalty because it was so close. Yeah, and I'd love to listen to, suggestions like you just said, something else, other ideas. But I think out of the alternatives that I can think of and that they've used in the past, or that the NFL does, stuff like that, I don't have a problem with this one compared to those. I think I like this one out of all of those so far. Not saying it's not a better one, but I haven't heard it yet. Justin Scott's just my friend today. He's loving.
Him and Ken Morris had a really good discussion going earlier about Kyrou and Thomas and kind of their place.
Yeah. I think Justin Scott said something about being disappointed in Kyrou or along those lines this season. I think,
you know what's funny is that last year, if you go back and listen to the shows, and there was one time in particular, I remember where Kurt and I got in a huge argument because I was saying bench Kyrou, bench him. He's been bad. He's been bad. Bench him. And I will say My reasoning was because, yeah, he's putting up points, but everything else he's doing is fucking awful. I feel the opposite this year.
Let him play, even though he's played like shit. Not putting.
No, I feel like he actually has not played that bad, but he's not playing offensively enough. He's not. His offensive numbers aren't impressive. He's not as impressive in the offensive zone, but he's back checking. He's forechecking. He has done a lot of the small things he wasn't doing last year. He's just not converting, and he's not getting the offensive chances. So It's funny because I've kind of taken a 180 with him right now.
Yeah, but if there was one guy on the team I wouldn't want to make that trade, it's Kyrou. Right, he could put the puck in the net, and that's one thing we're lacking. And to me, the biggest trade-off is his inability. Right, or not the trade-off. The biggest shortcoming this year, his inability to hold on to the puck. Right?
Yeah,
every time the puck comes to him, it bounces even just a little bit. Most of the time, it's rolling off his stick, but he's got to do something, change sticks, change flexes, put a different tape pattern on, something to
just change it up. Yeah, I agree.
Right? He's the kind of guy that I would expect to be one of those, one of the guys that's constantly fiddling with equipment, but he doesn't. He actually doesn't seem to be that guy.
It's funny because defense, you can tell they have learned to play him tight, like, just even though he's fast. Because a lot of teams, you look at a player like Kyrou, they're not going to play him tight because they're like, hey, give him the room, just stop him as he comes into the zone. Defenses are playing him tight because they know he can't receive passes. He gets a pass on his stick and it bounces, or like you said, it kind of pushes forward a little bit. So we're seeing defenders play him pretty tight on the breakout because they're like, if he gets a pass, we've got about a split-second opportunity to just knock it right back off his stick because he's not receiving the pass clean. And it's annoying because the type of player he is, that turns into a great scoring chance typically.
Ken Morris says, Kyrou has the tools, but does not know how to utilize them. It's like owning a Corvette, but using it like a station wagon.
Comment of the show. That's
perfect. We had a station wagon when I was growing up. Wood grain panels and all.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. We actually had a blue one with wood grain panels. Got rid of that. Got a white one with wood grain panels.
Holiday Road.
Yeah. No green ones, though. No family truckster. All right. So next up for the Blues, we got Friday versus New Jersey at 7:00. Saturday versus Montreal at 6. Another back-to-back. Tuesday versus Winnipeg at 7, and they wrap up the home trip. Thursday versus Arizona.
All right, comment of the show right there.
Thursday versus Arizona at 7:00. So a big sports weekend. Friday and Saturday got Blues hockey. You got St. Louis City playing Sunday night in a must-win game against the fuckers from Kansas.
I'm very nervous.
If there's something to be angry about, it's that City performance.
That was bad.
Oh my god!
It was like the Vancouver Blues in Vancouver a little bit.
Oh, it was bad.
No,
obviously with way higher stakes.
Yeah, the stakes were insane, and I just, the City played into a trap, and I'm afraid that Kansas City's got the number. It's gonna be a terrible way to end this amazing season.
Yeah, I know. To of all teams to get knocked out by if they can't win 2 straight, Kansas City.
Yeah.
You talk about a way for St. Louis fans to finally care about a Kansas City team. There's it. I mean, if they can't come back against them, because the Cardinals have not given a shit about the Royals since '85. Mm-hmm. The Royals fans, like, it's their World Series every year when they play the Cardinals, right? So if they can't come back to beat the Sporting KC, it's like, whoa.
After all the soccer capital of the world podcast stuff that happened,
right? Oh boy,
oh man.
I mean, they got to win 2 in a row. I mean, that's not that they can. They're a good team, but holy cow! I mean, Sporting KC has been playing well since the first 10 games of the season.
Right. They lost the first 10, and then they've just been on fire. Best team since May 26th, I think, is what they were saying. But
yeah,
they didn't score a goal for the first 4 games, something like that.
Yeah,
it was bad.
But I mean, everything seemed to go perfectly for them in this, right? Johnny Russell, and
I know
had what was the other guy who was on the bench, and the 2 guys that replace him score, just absolute stunner goals, and perfect shots and awful defensive coverage. So just I'm definitely nervous about this.
I also want to bitch about Apple TV too, because Apple TV fucked me over. I don't know what happened before the game. About 15 minutes before the game was supposed to start, I go to pop it on to listen to a little bit of pregame, and I had to log in, and it said, "What?" I'm okay. I'll log in, and and it didn't take my password. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going to get up to go get my password. I'll just reset it here. So I forgot password. And I went to you can't just. I thought I'd get an email with a link saying, create a new password and it'd be applicable. No. If you click on forget password, it'll say, okay, we've notified support. You'll be contacted in 24 hours about setting up a new password. I'm like, what? And I could not get past that screen. So I had to create a brand new fucking account and fucking pay for it to watch it. And I'm going to try and reverse that. But that pissed me off.
Wow.
And I'm sorry. I just turned on the Sharks-Canucks game again. You want to know what the score is now?
Is it 10-0 yet?
I'll turn on.
It is 8-0.
Oh, Eric.
About time it's 8-0.
Eric, what's going on?
There's another good Major League quote.
Eric, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
And he hits them. About time it's 8-0.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, hey, so I mean, I mean this in the nicest way, but Blues fans, just be glad you're not San Jose fans.
Yeah.
Right now.
They're having
until the draft, right? Then you kind of
they got out of their contract issues. They should, I would think, start the turn. After this year, the turnaround begins.
Right. They're going full rebuild, right? And the Blues are not. We're stuck with, 2 more years of Nick Leddy, Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, Colton Parayko, Marco Scandella. No.
I know.
I'm get out of Scandella after this year, though.
And I'm just poking fun. But
all right, so I guess at this point, we're getting into probably tidbits around the NHL. So I'll just briefly mention we talked a little bit last week about how the Blues defense has looked better. Again, you take out that Vancouver game. I think that is still the case. And then a little bit, again, third period of the Colorado game. I still think that's the case. I made a comment on Twitter the other night. I feel like Colton Parayko, and I know you guys agree, Colton Parayko has played much better this year and looks great. I would even venture to say that I think Colton Parayko, Justin Falk, and Torrey Krug have been a pretty nice top 3. I think the biggest issues with this team, again, outside of the Vancouver game and maybe the third period against Colorado, has been Tucker, Scandella, Leddy. Leddy has not shown me anything this year. He's been a huge disappointment for me. But I think Krug, listen, and okay, so I think in terms of defense, I'm talking about defense, folks. I think Torrey Krug has looked a lot better this year. Has he still turned the puck over? Sure. Does he have 0 points? Yes. But I think defensively, there was a play against Nathan McKinnon last night that he made that I thought, man, that's a great defensive play. He came back on him. He lifted his stick. He kicked the puck away. Yeah, you're right. It was a poke. Yeah, it was a poke check. And I'm like, damn, that's a great play for Torrey Krug. And anyone who listens to the shows knows that last year I said, that dude's dead in the water. Get rid of him. Do whatever you can to get rid of him. Don't even play him. I feel like he's worth playing right now. He's playing physically. He's getting in the lanes. He's blocking passes. He's staying with the play. I know he had a rough he was part of the reason they gave up that first goal. But I feel like he has played a lot better. And I put that on Twitter last night. And, oh, my God, the fucking hate that I got.
Well, he hasn't scored any points, Jeff.
And I will tell you, that is the number one response I get.
Yeah.
The Blues power play is terrible. He was signed to be a power play quarterback. 0 points. He was signed to be an offensive defenseman. I literally had a guy that was like, how can you possibly say that? Sit down. And he was signed to be an offensive defenseman. And I'm like, dude, you literally are putting the word defense in what he is. He is signed, yes, as an offensive defenseman, but offensive defensemen still have to play defense. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. He was signed to score points and quarterback the power play. And I'm like, the power play is a fraction of the game, dude. Like 5-on-5 is what they signed him for. They want him to still play defense. Well, he's got 0 points. Oh my God. Pay attention to what I'm saying. We're talking about defense here. I feel like, again, has he been tremendous defensively? No, but no one ever expected that. I just want him to be able to step out there on defense and play semi-well. And I feel like he's done that this year. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that Torrey Krug is gangbusters and is going to be an NHL All-Star this year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying overall, I think Torrey Krug has played better. And in a season like this, we need to take the small victories. To me, that is a small victory. What?
9-0.
Is it? Oh my God! Is it really? Jesus.
So the thing I was going to add to the Torrey Krug conversation is, this whole idea at this point of he was signed to be an offensive defenseman. He was signed 3 years ago. Now we need him to be something different, right?
Yes.
We still need that offensive defenseman, but I think that's got to be Scott Perunovich, and we've got to start falling in love with that idea. And Berube's the guy that's going to resist it as long as he can. But it's almost moot to talk about why we signed him.
Yeah, and honestly, the power play is an issue. It's 1 for 25, right? Mm-hmm. It is not helping us win games at all. If we were just at 20% on the power play, which is what you hope to be, right? At least. What is that? 5? Is that 5 goals? 4, 5, whatever it is. So I mean, that could be an extra win there, but
definitely be a win.
I don't think that's on Krug. I don't think you can't hang the bad power play necessarily on Krug, even though he's supposed to be a power play quarterback. There is way too much going on. The power play has looked better since the start of the season. They've had a lot more zone time. They've had a lot more chances. They're just not putting it in. And I think that will hopefully turn around a little bit. But yeah, if you were to ask me, would I rather have Torrey Krug play defensively like he did last year while he's putting up, the points we expect, or do I want him to be a responsible defenseman? I would choose the responsible defenseman, even though this team needs offense, but that's what Perunovich can be for, right? Like you said,
right.
We've got him to plug in if we want some more offense from the defense on the power play. I mean, if Krug's playing fine defensively, or for the most part fine defensively, then get Perunovich in there and get him some more playing time and fucking sit Tucker.
I don't understand that.
So I don't care if Perunovich is a little worse, maybe defensively, than Tucker.
Is he though?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. He hasn't played.
At
hasn't
this
played a whole
point,
lot.
I feel like you can't get much worse than Tucker.
Well, he hasn't played a whole lot, so it's really hard to tell. But and I said this last week. I think I said this last week that it's this team. There aren't high expectations for this team, unfortunately, this season. So what have you got to lose to put Perunovic out there and see what he's got? They haven't really said, if they, oh, well, Perunovic, he needs more work doing this, more work doing that. Well, he's not getting the work. He's in the press box.
Well,
he's not.
It's like the old adage of, we can't hire you because we need somebody with more experience. Well, I can't get that experience if somebody doesn't hire me.
Right.
And
Well, this is
the same thing here with Perunovic.
This is a great chance for him to get that experience and those minutes and those game situations under his belt to learn from. Right. Actual real game minutes.
For the love of God, don't just go 11-7 with Perunovic. Fucking play him. Let him play some real defensive minutes.
What did we say? What did I say last week? I said they might go 11-7 and just play Perunovic on the power play. Isn't that what I said? I said that.
That's
he played
what they did.
He played a little more. He didn't play a whole lot on the power play though, which is weird. 30 seconds or something like that?
Something like that.
I don't know what it was, but he didn't. But it wasn't just a power play guy. He played a little bit, like 8 minutes or something. It wasn't a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But they went 11-7 for Perunovic, and they didn't play him a whole lot. So no. I don't know. I'd love to just see.
I will tell you this with the precedent that Berube has set with, we need more out of him with Vrana. If we see Tyler Tucker in the lineup next game, that might be my first strike with Berube and saying you might not last it until 2024, bud. You can't just hold Vrana accountable and then have a guy like Tucker who has just gotten walked left and right and just keep him in the lineup. We need more from him, Berube. We do.
Okay. So, next game is tomorrow against New Jersey at home. What is
and they're
this?
A fast team.
Well, yeah, and the standings look like right now they are New Jersey's 5-2-1. Let's see, they got 33 goals for, 30 against. So, yeah, they can. 8 games played. Team. 8 games played, 33 goals for. So they score some and they allow some.
They're a quick team, and we need to get some quick defenders out there. I think this is a perfect opportunity to play Perunovic and sit Tucker.
Right. They're not huge on the front side, so that the whole needing to have size on the back end argument is out the door, I think, for the next 2 games. Right. We got New Jersey tomorrow, Montreal Saturday. Biggest guy I can think of on either of these two rosters is Josh Anderson from Montreal.
Timo Meier.
Yeah, he's pretty big, I guess, but
but you got to think that Tucker or Perunovic wouldn't see him anyway. That's going to be Parayko.
Right,
mostly.
Right. So perfect opportunity to give Tucker some time to see how the game flows from the press box.
I don't know. Well, I mean, if Perunovic can get some actual ice time and get multiple starts in a row, I'd be like, hey, let's go. All right, let's see him play. All right, rapid fire tidbits. Some more of those. We got former NHLer Adam Johnson dies after being slashed in the throat while playing for the Nottingham Panthers in England. It was a freak accident when Sheffield Steelers player Matt Petgrave's skate came across Johnson's neck. Petgrave had collided with another player, kind of got spun around, and his leg came up in the air, slit his throat, later killing him. There's pitchforks and torches are out on social media talking about manslaughter.
First of all, obviously a major tragedy and RIP to Adam Johnson. But let's talk about that before we get to the next part of this. Did you guys see the play? Yeah. And what do you think?
No, I mean, this is what I think happened. If you're going to ask my opinion, this scenario makes contact with, I guess it was the defender, kind of gets spun around. And my thinking is maybe he wants to get a piece of Johnson, so he kind of throws his leg out to try and impede his progress a little bit, and it gets up way higher than he intended, and because of the contact maybe, and it just, it slices his throat. So I don't, to say it's intentional, I don't know. I mean, you don't know what's going through the guy's mind, but I don't see anything personally that jumps out at me as being intentional. It seems very, just an unfortunate incident.
Right. I did not seek out the video. Having lived through the Clint Malarchuk thing when it happened live, I'm not one into looking at near death, and Richard Zednick as well.
Yes.
Right. I'm not into that. It's not like, it from the descriptions I've read and what you guys are talking about, it's not like he stomped on him, right?
No.
He didn't use his knife boots to like attack the guy, right? It's a freak accident. And
legs come up kind of often,
right.
on plays like a player kind of glances off somebody, gets spun around, and their legs can come up, their feet can come up.
Yeah, I'm 100% with what Kurt said, because I did see it. I do think he was just trying to. It's just one of those situations, and I hate to say this because I did see comparisons. Basically, this player, Matt Petgrave. Petgrave is similar to a Nazem Kadri type in that league. So hearing that comparison, I could totally see it's because it's a situation where Johnson's cutting across, Petgrave's coming the other way, collides with another player. And he's just like, oh, I'm going to go down. I'm going to fall. I might as well try and get a piece of Johnson and take him out too as he's carrying the puck across. But I will say, holy mother of God, that I've never seen a foot fly up that quickly and that easily. I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I think that's absolutely ludicrous to think a player would do something like that. But I do think it's exactly what you said, Kurt. It was a matter of, this guy's coming across. I do everything I can to impede his progress, maybe take him out as I'm going down. It'll look like an accident, no big deal. But, oh, man, he has got to be more careful with that foot. Man.
It's a, contact sport, high-speed contact sport. And
it's amazing to me that there aren't more deaths in professional hockey.
And that's what kind of sparks this neck guard debate now that's come up, where the Western Hockey League announced Wednesday that they were going to make neck guard protection mandatory for all players. Hockey shops are selling out of neck guards all over right now. The Pittsburgh Penguins are making neck guards mandatory for all of their players at the minor league level and are also urging their NHL players to wear them. And this is all coming after this incident, what Pittsburgh's doing is interesting to me, is that they're making all the minor league players wear it, but they're just encouraging or urging the pro players to wear them.
I wonder if that's a CBA thing. They can't make their players wear them.
That's possible. Yeah.
That's
what I was
that,
thinking.
and it's we have Sidney Crosby on our team. We're not going to force him to do anything he doesn't want to do.
But you know what though? I just saw this. It was a guy shared on Reddit. TJ Oshie, I didn't know he had a War Road brand of.
He wore it tonight.
Yeah, and it's cut resistant. They have cut resistant clothing as part of the line of stuff. And it's expensive. It's $200 for a cut resistant long sleeve shirt with a neck guard on it. And it's like material. It's not like a thick thing. It's just like material that is like a cut resistant. And I guess the idea is, it may, it's not like it's thick padding where it's going to like absorb the blow. It's just going to prevent your neck from being sliced open, or hopefully prevent your neck from being sliced open if it hits that.
I think it's a brilliant design.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And I would wear it easily. I mean, in the NHL, there's no question. I mean, I'm making good money. I'm spending $200 on a few of those for the season, right?
If the whole team went to the organization, let's say the St. Louis Blues, all the players go to the organization, go to Doug Armstrong. Hey, we all want to wear this War Road brand. Buy all of these shirts. They'll do it.
Spend $5,000. Spend $5,000 and outfit us, right? Because they make stuff for your legs, for your cuffs down into your gloves. So
the cut resistant socks have been around for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that that's not standard outfitting.
Yeah, listen. I mean, again, not to plug too much another podcast, but Doug Stolhan and I got a long talk about this on this week's Puck podcast, and we both are under the same mind. Sounds like you guys are too. That it's like, okay, the debate, full face guards. Will the NHL one day have full face guards? I don't think so. It will be mandatory. No, I don't think so. But and the talk is like players don't want it. It's restrictive, which I agree. I've played with full face guard. I've played with a visor. It's restrictive. Your viewing is restricted.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
But like, man, I got to tell you, with a neck guard, those aren't that restrictive.
Especially if it's just the material. It's not. Yeah. I can understand. Like, okay, like when I first heard neck guard, I was thinking like the goalie neck guards, like that. You guys, they were thicker, right? They were thicker,
and it looks like a turtleneck.
Well, but it's thick and it's padded, and it's like, okay, I can see that being restrictive for a skater if they may not want to wear that. I get the idea of not wanting to wear it because of it's restrictive, even though it might protect you. I get the conflict there. But with this just material, it looks like it's thin, really flexible, like a shirt, but it's cut resistant. I mean, why wouldn't you wear that?
Yeah, I'd wear that. And apparently it's long sleeved, or it's cut resistant along the wrist too.
All the way down your wrist, yeah. Into your glove.
I think I've told the story on the show before. There was a time where I went down, I fell down in the corner, my arm just kind of flopped out, and I saw a guy coming, and he was stepping to turn, and I even thought, I'm like, this is where I get my wrist cut here. Like, I'm going to die. This is where I die. And he last minute stopped his foot from stepping and then like turned himself the other way and crashed his fucking whole body into the boards just to resist like hitting me. And I like got up right away, and I didn't even care about what was going on in the play. And I just like tapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, dude, boom, you might have just saved my life. Thank you. Like, that's incredible. And it's like, I thought at that point, I'm like, I'm playing fucking beer league. Why am I not wearing fucking wrist protection? Like, why not?
Well, Bill, you were there, right? When the Cahokia incident where the guy had his wrist stepped on and blood was everywhere.
Yeah. Captain Kirk, Chris Kirk, the guy, I think I've told the story on the podcast before. Yeah. So it was an early Saturday game. Springfield had come down to play, and just a weird play. Chris fell at the blue line, and there's this tall, rangy dude cutting across the blue line and tried to jump and didn't jump high enough, and right across his wrist. Cool. Starting quarterback for Cahokia High, valedictorian, and all that stuff, and that put a damper on the football season.
It's interesting. I think a lot of people who are up in arms about wanting everything, all these neck guards to be mandatory. No one has ever died on the NHL ice from a skate blade to the neck or a skate blade to the wrist. Hasn't happened. Yes, incidents have happened in other leagues, lower level leagues or whatever. But NHL, no. And I think some lower leagues do require neck guards and things like that. So,
apparently, youth hockey requires it now.
Who does?
Youth hockey.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think I don't know if this is like the pendulum swinging pretty far the other way. Like I wouldn't call it an overreaction. Because I'm definitely for neck guards. If my kids were playing, they'd be wearing this stuff. But I don't know if people understand how rare it is that this kind of thing happens, even though we almost have a story from it happening. But maybe it happens more than I'm aware too. Maybe you don't hear about all this stuff.
So are you against
no.
them putting on neck guards?
No, I'm not against that. I said no. I'm all in favor of it. But I think there are a lot of people who are up in arms about it and demanding it when I'm not sure if they understand how rare it is that it happens. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to understand both sides. And I'm like, yes, I'm all in favor of wearing protective equipment, especially if it's not restrictive in any way, which the War Road stuff does seem to be, like stuff like that. That seems like a no-brainer, obviously.
Yeah.
But on this same thing, it is really rare for someone to suffer a cut, and this is the first person, right, that has died due to the first person who used to Masterson died on the ice with a head injury, but no one has died on the ice from a skate cut.
My only counter to that would be one time is too many times.
I know, right? And
I know.
And
I know.
With
I think
it didn't lead to, at that point, helmets being mandatory, but I'm sure that started it.
Yep.
What happened to Friedman? He just took off the ice like something bad happened. Oh, he's cut.
Puck
something happened.
Ooh.
Oh God.
Ooh, it broke the helmet.
The puck right in the face.
Yeah, you can see something. It shattered the mask.
Oh, he's pissed too.
Yeah, it did. I hope his eyes are okay.
He looks. I mean, he got off on his own will, and
mouth or nose, right? That shield might have saved his eyes.
Yeah.
Oof.
Whatever. Something popped off that helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they're scraping it up now, along with some blood.
Ooh.
Oh, man, that's nasty.
Oh.
As we're talking
about players bleeding on the ice, right?
Yeah, right.
And I don't even know where I'm going with that. Really, it's just that I think I don't know if people who it is rare. Let's not act like it happens all the time. It is rare for something that serious to happen, but it does happen. So I think, and I'm all for it. If you were to ask me, should the league make it mandatory? I'd say, yeah, I think so. I mean, why not? Especially if it's not uncumbersome, like I would just contract a War Road and make the players wear it.
I was gonna say, I would just think look at Oshie tonight, already putting it on tonight and saying, this is, you know what, I've invested in this, I'm wearing it tonight. And I think it should just be honestly on the players, just be like, this is the right call. Go to the NHL, say, hey, I know this, again, I think it might be a CBA thing. Say, you know what, we're willing to waive that shit. Everybody should be wearing these.
Here's the deal, though.
And I'm all for it.
You know what? I bet you. So players are required to wear a certain brand undergarments, right, under their jerseys and equipment. So why couldn't the NHL just sign a deal with a protective, cut resistant fabric company like War Road or whatever?
I think right now all their undergarments are, I believe, supposed to be supplied by Fnatic, but the way that players get by is same thing with sticks. I know Brett Hall, he had an Easton stick at the end of his career, but he liked the Warrior stick so much that he just wrapped it with an Easton wrap, because that way he was sponsored by Easton. You can get around that too. If you want to say like, oh yeah, this is a Fnatic undergarment, but it's actually War Road, as long as you slap a Fnatic thing across it for interviews, I don't think anybody would care.
All right, let me move on to the Senators.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole mess.
Yeah, and there's a lot here, but I don't think we have to talk about a lot of it. Just the Senators have forfeited a first-round draft pick for screwing up the trade of Evgeny Dadonov back in 2021 when they traded him to the Anaheim Ducks, which caused an issue in 2022 when the Ducks tried to trade him to the Knights.
That's backwards. They traded him to the Knights, and the Knights tried to trade him to the Ducks. Trust me.
Sure?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, it was the Knights that tried to trade him to the Ducks.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, because the Knights. Okay, it is backwards. My bad. So the issue surrounded Dadonov was limited. Let's see if this is right. The rest of this is right then. He had a limited no trade clause in his contract, which he signed in October of 2020 with the Senators. The clause indicated that Dadonov couldn't be traded without first submitting a 10-team no trade list. The Ducks were on a previously submitted no trade list to Ottawa, but when the Golden Knights traded for Dadonov in 21, there was no mention of the trade protection on the trade call with the Senators and the NHL. Therefore, was not acknowledged when Vegas completed the trade with Anaheim. Ottawa will forfeit its first-round draft pick in one of the 24, 25, or 26 NHL drafts. The Senators will make that determination within 24 hours of the conclusion of the draft lottery that season. A lot of people comparing this to the Blackhawks covering up the sexual misconduct.
Yep.
And
$2 million fine.
How the Blackhawks were basically a slap on the wrist, weren't hardly penalized at all. And Ottawa for this loses the first round draft pick. And then people are saying, well, if Chicago was forced to lose their first round draft pick, that may have resulted in them not being able to draft Bedard if they were forced to pick him to waive this year's first round pick, because the year after the sexual misconduct thing, the Hawks didn't have a first round pick, I believe.
Right.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
And that was the argument I saw somebody try to make, a Blackhawks fan, that was like, well, they would have lost the pick the year before. And I'm like, you didn't have a fucking pick the year before.
And
so
the thing is, though, is that they gave Ottawa the choice of 3 years. They may have given Chicago the same. So they obviously wouldn't pick.
To me, it would have been sexual assault. You're losing your next first round pick.
I know
where you finish.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I mean, in a appropriate situation, the NHL would have made them lose draft picks, and they wouldn't have.
Okay, I 100% agree with all that. I think Blackhawks got off easy. It's bullshit. But that might be a conversation another time. My issue here is, why is the onus on Ottawa? Why is Ottawa in trouble for this? To me, the Golden Knights, you had a year to, and yes, maybe the Senators did not disclose this to them. Wrong for them. But to me, you had Dadonov on your roster for a full fucking year. And you're going to basically tell them, basically there's no onus on the Golden Knights, because you're telling me not once in that year did they talk to Dadonov and say, hey, is there anything with your contract we should know? You're telling me they never talked to his agent. Like, hey, we just got your guy. Anything we should know about this guy? Or the fact that when they get a player, they get the contract. So you didn't have anybody just go through legally that contract, see if there's any, like, hey, when is this bonus due to him? Are we expected to incentivize him? Like, if he gets so many goals, he gets a bonus. Like, none of that was reviewed by the Golden Knights.
Unless it's, we don't know the exact process and how things are disclosed. Yeah, I agree with you. You would think you'd have your people, your lawyers, go over contracts, right? But, there could be a thing where something is filled out to list, stipulations within the contract. And if it was omitted or not included, purposely or not, then, maybe that it all depends on how it went down. If you ask me, I agree with you on the surface, because it's like, why aren't the teams doing their homework when they acquire a player or before they acquire a player? So I don't know.
That's kind of my point.
It's goofy. No, I agree with you.
You gotta have some kind of, and again, if you wanted to say, okay, we're gonna punish the Senators and the Golden Knights, both of you fucked up. So if that were the case, I'd be okay with it. But the fact that it's just, the Golden Knights didn't do anything wrong. They had this guy under contract for a year. That never came to any kind of head of like, before, we might trade him at the trade deadline in a couple months. Let's look at his contract and make sure there's nothing weird we missed.
Well,
none of that.
Well, I mean, obviously the Golden Knights felt they were wronged, right? Because that you would think, because the Golden Knights, if the Golden Knights did their due diligence and everything they were supposed to do traditionally in a trade, and something wasn't disclosed in the paperwork that they were given that said he had no trade clause, You would think that first round draft pick would go to Vegas, like it did with the Scott Stevens bullshit, this Shanahan bullshit, when we lost our first round draft picks, right? So, I mean, who gets that pick?
Nobody. Just goes to 31 picks on that draft.
See, why wouldn't Vegas get that pick? I hate Vegas, but why wouldn't they get that pick? Because if something was,
it's not compensatory.
Well, but they were going to trade him, but they weren't. If Ottawa fucked up, then they fucked up and it hurt Vegas.
But it didn't hurt them to the tune of a first round draft pick. They weren't getting a first round draft pick for Evgeny Dadonov.
No, but
so why should they get a first round draft pick for Evgeny Dadonov if that's not what they were going for?
Why should was it Washington get 5 first round draft picks?
No, the NHL network has always been and will always be an old boys thing, right? And my take from an outsider perspective here is that Dorian is a pretty universally disliked figure, and it gave the new ownership an opportunity to can his ass right away for cause. And they were happy with it. The NHL got to flex a little with imposing a penalty for a team engaging in, I don't know, I'd say minor misconduct.
Yeah.
To me it seems like it's got to be a clerical kind of issue, right? And really, to Jeff's point, how are teams not analyzing the entire contract of an incoming player?
To me, Vegas looks bad here. They should be embarrassed. I mean, Ottawa fucking up and not disclosing something, that's one thing. But you're acquiring an asset and you don't even know if the guy has a no trade clause. Fucking, we know who has no trade clauses on Cap Friendly. I mean, come on.
That's what I said on the Puck podcast. I'm like, the fact that I'm sitting in my basement in St. Louis and I can tell you if this player has a no trade clause, that should tell me that the Golden Knights didn't do their fucking work.
Yeah, it's a topic of interest. It's a pretty common thing that you want to know with every player. So it's, oh man,
they slowed it down.
Yeah, they did.
Why do they show that?
Oh, he's back on the bench.
I guess that's why.
Man, he was. I guess his
the visor got him right on the cheek.
The cheekbone. Yeah. Oof.
Oh man,
under the eye, an inch
and
half.
It's 10-1.
10-1.
And
10 goals on 33 shots. Holy cow. That is.
Thatcher Demko actually complained that he wanted a challenge after,
Did he really?
After the one goal.
Goalie's going to goalie.
He got bumped, but it was his defenseman's fault.
So the Heritage Classic took place on Sunday with the Oilers beating the Flames 5-2. The jerseys are something we love to talk about on the show, and Heritage Classic jerseys are always a topic of discussion. So we got well, I don't have them on screen to show you, but if you've seen the Oilers and Flames Heritage Classic jerseys, you know what they look like. Edmonton incorporated some brown and the brown pants, brown gloves. And Calgary, kind of pretty clean and simple, I guess you call it. The C's there with a circle around it and Calgary Flames inside the circle. What do you guys think of these?
Let's do this relatively quickly because it is pretty late here. I love them both. I think they both look great. I think at first I loved the Oilers one more, but I think over time I've kind of adopted Calgary more. I like that they got that same off-white color that the Blues had in theirs, and it's just a classic look. Both are. My issue with the Oilers jersey, and I've said this before on the show. Numbers belong on the sleeves and the back. That's it. And they had to incorporate the number in the oil drop in the middle. Yeah, I hate that. If it wasn't for that, that would be one of my favorite jerseys from any outdoor game. But that putting the number in the oil drop, totally unnecessary, takes me out of that jersey. Still looks good. It's a nice classic look too. But that's the one thing on that jersey that I would definitely change.
Yeah, and to me, I agree completely with that. Looks good except for bringing the number onto the front. The Flames, not enough yellow. I like it. I like the simplicity of it, but not enough yellow.
Being a visual guy, the Edmonton jersey, I think they came close to doing something really, really good here. But I'll tell you what misses the mark for me personally is that banner under the oil doesn't do it for me. It's big. It's like my eyes go right to the banner for some reason. I don't like it. I think it might look better. I'd love to play around with this on that jersey software I have. But to take the banner off and just have the Edmonton Oilers text in white, maybe a little smaller too under the oil drop. Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. Take the number off the oil drop. That's dumb. Your player's number doesn't belong in the logo on the chest. That's stupid. And what bothers me is the C over the lines on the shoulder.
Yeah,
I don't like when teams do that. I mean, it's like it always looks like, oh fuck, we forgot about the C's and the A's on the jersey. We got
and on that jersey, the C, there's plenty of room for the C to just sit in the blue.
Yeah, I know. The C would look so much. You take that banner away, you make the Edmonton Oilers text a little smaller, and there's all kinds. There's a sea of blue there for that C to go in. A sea of blue for the C. I like the incorporation of the brown. I dig it. That's cool. Old school throwback. I like it. But I'm not a fan of the banner. The Calgary Flames jerseys. They did the stripes right, and I think the Calgary should pat themselves on the back because they rarely get stripes right on the jerseys.
100%.
Yeah. The stripes are on point. The stripes kick ass. They look really good, and I don't know, maybe a little overly simple, but I do like it. I almost want to do something different with the circle. I don't know. It looks kind of. I agree with you, Bill. More yellow, maybe some yellow stripes, like the bottom there, the red, yellow, red, maybe instead of red, white, red. I don't know. It'd be fun to play with to kind of incorporate some more yellow into those things. But I much better than some other outdoor games that I've seen for sure. But they're pretty good. I put them. Yeah, I give as a whole. I would give this set. If you want to call the entire thing a kit for both teams, I'd give it a B+.
Yeah, I'm with you.
For me, yeah. All right. I think we can wrap the show up because this show is taking. Man, we're going on
long show.
2.5 right now.
Yep.
Woo. We're into a whole nother day.
What are we doing? Jesus Christ! Yep. No one's here.
Mm-hmm.
We have more listeners now than we did like an hour ago, though. Some people can't sleep. All right. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockandthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockandthatidlife.com and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockandthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit Mike. Call Mike today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's Strike with Mike. You can. I'm fucking this now.
Wow.
I got it worded differently, and I was going to incorporate the phone number, and I didn't. So, Mike's number is 314-753-4060. So call Mike today, and for all of your home buying and selling needs in the St. Louis area. That's Strike with Mike. Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That is the worst closing I've ever done.
You're going to stay up all night re-recording.
Oh, my God. Yep. I may have to.
Yeah.
That'll wrap up episode 4 of season 13 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, and Austin Lynch, and Ron Burgundy, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go City, let's go Blues.
Let's go City and Blues.
Let's go City, let's go Blues. Any questions?
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend.